We've got advice from the legal department that Rebel TV is an international company and it is mainstream media.
So can I just get that apology on camera?
Well, all I'm saying is...
Can I get that apology? Because what you just did to me and
I've given you a direction.
And can you say sorry? Say one word. Say sorry.
I've given you this...
Say sorry. Say sorry. Say, it's one word. You were wrong, I was wrong.
Thank you. You can wear your mask.
Say sorry. Say sorry.
Without wearing a mask.
There you go.
And it's very sad and disturbing to see as well in many ways. I spent time in both these communities and they're lovely people. You get to see. OC spray has been deployed.
Go away.
Don't touch the mic. You're meant to speak. You're meant to be speaking truth to power. Are you here just to take your marching orders? Is that what you're here for?
Do you want to go away?
Not really. I'm here to do what you should be doing.
Yeah? Please take this out of my mouth. I'm going to have you escorted off for security.
All right. Do that.
Prime Minister, are you worried to take questions because you saw what happened to Jacinta Allen? Are you scared of answering the tough questions? Yesterday was the first time you didn't conflate anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. Is that because you recognise that a lot of the hate is from the Muslim community?
Who come and approach? Who come and approach?
Mate,
I'm gonna fucking get you.
You're gonna what?
I'm gonna fucking get you.
What are you gonna do?
Leave.
What are you gonna do?
Leave.
What are you gonna do?
Leave.
What are you gonna
Leave.
do?
Hey, don't touch it. You came my way. You fuck off. You understand? You came my way.
Stay out of the camera. Why
now? To show you? You want me to show you?
Right, one of the main interests in the debate, the Israeli police always make sure that only Muslims go. Jews and Christians are allowed to go through here. They're limited where infidels...
No Jews beyond these steps, pretty much.
No.
The only way Jews are allowed on nowadays, it's fairly new.
One place. You were arrested once upon a time because the police would say you're upsetting the Muslims and they'd get too angry, then there'd be violence, there'd be war.
I don't know, but this guy's going to get punched out.
I just got threatened by the head of news and programming of CNBC. Are you serious?
That's him there.
Why do you think you deserve so much power? Hey, Avi and Rukshan, should I be scared now? Don't push me, bro. What? What are you getting violent for, man? I could push just like you can, man. Look at these thugs. They fund wars around the world and then you question them. They try not only to intimidate you, but physically assault you.
And these are the activists that lost control of the situation today. This is Antifa, the socialists, the Marxists.
Pro-Palestinian supporters are coming to the Jewish community and instigating what can only be termed as a violent demonstration.
But you're at a synagogue. Why did you come to a synagogue if it's not about Jews?
By Palestine, war criminals in there.
How would you feel if Jews went to a mosque?
Shame on you. Shame on you for conflating the two.
Why are you talking about anti-Semitism when you're not Jewish?
Because I've been impacted by anti-Semitism.
Are you a Jew?
No, people think I am, and I've been called a fucking Jew and someone threatened to kick my ass because they thought I was Jewish, so it's impacted me as well. We are not anti-Semitic.
Are you listening to yourself?
Yes.
Jacinta, we understand it's easier to run away, but what would you say to the Jewish community for them to believe that you could keep them safe since you failed them for a year and a half? Look at that. Look at, what are you doing? Why are you blocking my way, mate? Jacinta, why are you running away from the tough question? Why are you running away? Like a coward. No Jew can believe you're going to keep them safe. You came for a photo op. Does it look like how you expected it to look? Is it bigger, smaller?
It's smaller?
Yeah.
Man, I don't need that.
You're not going to wear it?
No.
Wow. How are you going to do your photo at the wall? You have to wear one at the wall.
You have to?
Yeah.
All right.
You're going to look weird. People are going to look at you. We just need to get that photo.
All right, let's go pay our respects.
Can you tell us why you're still wearing a mask? Is that for COVID or to like protect your identity? Touch my...
Do not choke me.
Look at her. So she's the victim now. She's the victim. Look at the victim. When have I ever been caught with Nazis?
To go up there when Posey Parker was here. I saw you with my own eyes.
With Nazis?
Yes, with Nazis.
Me?
Yes, Michael Coulston and all his mates.
You know I wasn't there on that day.
You were there. I saw you. I was there myself.
You're also somebody that can't define what a woman is. I'm not sure we'll take your witness testimony as the strongest here, but...
Here's the thing. It shouldn't matter what my definition of a woman is.
To women it matters.
Up to one person to define to others what they should do. Yeah?
Biology should, though. Are you not ashamed of what you've done in the last couple of years? If any other product in the world doesn't work as promised, you get a refund. Should you not refund to countries that laid out billions for your vaccine?
The Lord is my shepherd.
Come from this side.
I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still water. He restores my soul and leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
Are you going to apologise for getting everything wrong, from mask mandates to vaccine mandates? Dr. Tedros, this is your chance to apologise to the world for your role during COVID. Would you like to take it?
Oh,
but
and you too, Rukshan.
Why are you picking on Rukshan? He's a person of colour. He's a protected species.
These are not real journalists. These are cooked podcasters.
This is not a real... It's a cooked...
Older people like you guys, you can't grasp the idea.
Excuse me, I'm quite young.
All right, buddy.
I identify as 19.
Why is it harmful that people want to, identify as another gender? How does that harm you?
How does it harm you that I want to identify as 19?
It doesn't harm me.
Okay, so then why don't you accept it?
I didn't say I didn't accept it.
You accept that I'm 19.
If you want to say that, it doesn't f***ing matter. It doesn't affect me.
Will you take back your statement where you said that I was an old man?
What?
I am home. I am home. I am home. I am home. I'm with my people here. I'm with my Australians. What do you want to do, man? I'm home. I'm with you. I'm home. I'm Australian. I'm home. I'm Australian. One of us, Rukshan. I'm Australian. One of us. Look at you guys. Look at you guys. I'm Australian. Cowards.
Why is the Prime Minister such a coward? Does he pay you to protect his cowardice? They say regaining trust is the theme this year. Are you part of the reason why they've lost trust in the WEF and everybody finally knows who you are and what you stand for? Thank you, Dr. Tedros, for showing us how transparent you and the World Economic Forum. Many of the arguments that are made against Israel can be made about Australia. Do you agree? Are you on stolen land?
Oh, we are on stolen land, undoubtedly.
And did we colonise?
We did, undoubtedly.
So now, if an Aboriginal terrorist group committed the same atrocities, would you agree?
No, which one? I better stop, Avi.
If you refuse to move on, you'll be committing an offence. You'll get arrested for that offence.
Right, what's the offence?
Okay. Failure to move on.
Right, under which act?
Under which act?
Yeah.
Mate.
He was already arrested. He was already arrested.
Was that you? All right, mate. You're under arrest. Failure to move on.
Snitches get stitches. James, just so you know, that arrest is more real than the genocide. Do you guys cause trouble or not?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. What kind of trouble?
Breaking in there.
Really? Is that fun?
No.
Do you get in trouble for it?
Yeah.
They're throwing rocks at her. Yeah, all good.
All good.
So there we are. Early on, they're throwing rocks at us already. These are kids out late. Police are barely doing anything. Why do you need a negotiation? Can't Hamas just release the hostages? Welcome back to the Opposition Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, Rukshan?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Good to be here. And I see the new format. Format looks good.
You're enjoying the new format.
Well, you've put in a bit of effort. You've taken on board my suggestions about the gradient and making it easier to read. And I think, it looks neat now, guys. Let us know in the comments what you think. But I think it's an improvement from last week, and we can kind of stick to this, I reckon.
You're happy with it. As long as you're happy, I'm happy, Rukshan. Let's get into it. We've got a lot going on right now in the world, even here in Australia, actually. There was a lot this week or since our last episode that's happened. So I'm excited to get into tonight's show. Just for housekeeping, ladies and gentlemen, so there's no more the 2 feeds right now. All your comments, sorry, I'll turn my phone on silent now. All your comments should be coming up there on the right-hand side. So get involved in the conversation. And guess what? You get to have a go at me, show your support. You don't really get to direct the conversations on that feed. That's more through the super chat. So any super chat through our YouTube pages will come up, and we will read each and every one of you. But otherwise, you can get involved in the conversation, like Becky saying, "Bless you and bless you, Rukshan and Avi."
I like the comment from Economics.
Where does that one?
Just after Becky's comment.
Looks better. Chat pain needs to be covered by burger. Yes. I actually, I'm tending to agree with you on that one. Okay, that's a bit better.
I can see your mic. I can see your mic in the shot.
Oh no! Look at that.
There you go.
Is that better?
That's better. I thought you were about to pull out a burqa and put it on.
We should have worn burqas for tonight's one in honor of the legend herself. It's a wild week. It has been a wild week, and I think we get straight into the first kind of breaking news. Everyone knows the story. Everyone knows what it was that Pauline Hanson did. Let's watch basically the update. So I think they recap on it anyways for those that have been living under a rock, but anyone that's tuned in, I doubt it.
Pauline Hanson has been censured by the Senate and banned from the chamber for the 7 sitting days after she wore a burqa into Parliament yesterday. Let's get more with political reporter Stephanie Boris, who's in Canberra. Hi, Steph. So what's been happening?
Hi, Ros. Well, we have to take a step back to yesterday when this all started to unfold. One Nation leader, Pauline Hanson, entered the Senate wearing a burqa. This isn't the first time she's pulled such a stunt. She did the same thing back in 2017. She said the reason for doing so was because she wanted to debate her own private member's bill, which was all about banning the burqa in Australia. And she claimed it wasn't fair, that debate was not being allowed, and therefore that's why she was wearing the burqa. Now, she has been saying that, she wasn't allowed to debate this bill. It must be clarified that any member of Parliament is allowed to put forward a private member's bill, which is what she did, but it is up to government as to which bills are debated in Parliament. Not all of them can be debated, and this one was not debated. Now, yesterday we heard from senators from across the board. They were very much telling Senator Hanson she can not act in this way. Today, what we've seen is the Senate censure Senator Hanson. A censure motion is essentially the strongest form of condemnation that can be given by other senators or MPs towards someone sitting in the chamber. So that is what initially occurred. She was then also told that she will not be able to represent the Australian Parliament on overseas delegations. So every now and then there's a group of MPs or senators, they're picked from across different parties to head to different countries for different events or occasions. So Senator Hanson now will never be allowed to be one of those senators that goes overseas. Most remarkably, Ros, is this ban of 7 sitting days in Parliament, that the One Nation leader will not be able to sit in the Senate. This is quite remarkable in the sense the last time it occurred was back in 1979, and that wasn't even around sitting days, it was just 7 days. This particular ruling is that it's 7 sitting days, so not just for the rest of this week, but also when Parliament returns next year.
Okay, so pretty crazy response to it. And the reason why I say that is if you compare it to anything before. So essentially, 7 sitting days in the history of the Parliament up to date has never been given to anyone for anything, right?
Yeah.
The last 7-day ban, so they've had 7 days censure before, the last one in the 70s, but that was 7 days in total, meaning usually like 2 sitting days, not 7. So she's not going to sit in Parliament till next year. She's shrugged it off, but to put it into perspective, remember what Lydia Thorpe did here in Parliament.
Give us what you stole from us! Our bones, our skulls, our babies!
Shortly after King Charles III had finished making remarks in Australia's Parliament on Monday, a voice rang out from the back of the hall. Indigenous Senator Lydia Thorpe was escorted out of a reception for the royal couple.
Indigenous leader Lydia Thorpe, whatever. That's the
Well, I mean,
Associated
that's
Press.
one of the ones that she's done. Even recently, remember she talked about blowing up Parliament House or setting it on fire or something like this at a protest, and even then they didn't censure her. She got away with that as well.
This one she was censured, but the censure came with no time outside of Parliament. Yeah. So it is
exactly.
It's like the comment says there. Robin says Pauline's been handled absolutely appallingly. There's one standard for Pauline Hanson, and there is another for everyone else. Think of the amount of times they've all come in with their own props. They've all come in with kafirs. Everybody that got angry, everybody that's ranting and raving in Parliament over the last, have come in kafirs. So their own props over the last couple of years. You talk about Marine Faruqi. This was Marine Faruqi's response today in Parliament.
And you just want to talk about respecting each other. This is where respecting each other and just talking the talk has got us. This parliament drips now in racism because for decades, politicians and both major parties, can I say, let it happen. And today, there's a senator here who effectively said that he hates Muslims. That is what it has come down to, because you all let it happen. And I won't let that go. I won't let that go, because for years, Muslims have been warning you all that if we don't deal with this now, this is where it'll end up. Christchurch happened, where an Australian man mercilessly murdered 51 Muslims. This country did nothing. The dog whistling on migrants goes on. The dog whistling on refugees goes on. It's done by both major parties. It's done by the media. That's what has legitimized. Order. That is what has legitimized Order. What we see in this chamber Senator almost Wong. Every other day. And yes, this motion is good. Finally holding someone to account, finally holding Senator Pauline Hanson to account for what the pathetic old tactic that she used in the chamber yesterday. Yes, that's a step forward, but there is so much more to be done.
Talking about the pot calling the kettle black, you've got the biggest dog whistler in the Parliament, one of the most divisive people. Most people look at Marine Faruqi as an anti-white racist. Everything she says about Pauline Hanson, she needs a mirror up in her face, because she is far more divisive, far more dog whistles in the last couple of years against the Jewish community. She has been the worst, Australian politician, the worst senator, the biggest offender of all these crimes. But it's never her, it's never the left. They never get censured the way Pauline Hanson does.
Yeah, someone like Marine Faruqi, who I affectionately call the Senator for Pakistan, because that's how she acts sometimes. Even the Greens, they're like the party of Hamas over the last couple of years. They have no problem whatsoever, Avi, with the way that they attack white Australia.
Yep.
They think it's warranted. They think they're allowed to do it. And, they don't even really challenge on it, and they get away with it in that place. She takes all the liberties that she can. She takes all the privileges of Parliament and continues to attack white Australia. Very specifically, she will use terms like "you white people." She will continue to talk about the history of Australia in a disparaging manner, despite the fact that she herself enjoys the privileges and the benefits of Australia, having risen to the position of becoming a senator in the Senate, in the Parliament of Australia. And she still accuses the place of all manner of racism. It's just ridiculous listening to these people, because this is the reason that we'll never really go forward, because these people, despite what changes happen in the country and despite how forward we do move, they will continue to act in this manner. And as it relates to Pauline Hanson, they hate her with a passion. This is not the first time. A lot of the stuff that we hear on the videos where they're talking, that's what the public hears. But what the mic's time capturing is just the yelling.
They cut the mics in, because I was watching back to find they cut the mics. If you actually watch the parliamentary clipping, you could see Lydia Thorpe standing up, and
it's very
screaming
vicious
away, and we can't actually hear what she's saying.
It is very vicious. That in itself, I believe, is disrespectful to the Parliament. There's a time for speaking. Lydia Thorpe goes on the attack in that place whenever she feels like. No one really controls her in that place. And, we've seen her doing all types of stunts herself, and she gets away with it. And there is a double standard. And the standard to which they hold Pauline Hanson to is ridiculous, because the rest of them are, if not equally the same in terms of their stunts, and even more childish and racist at times, but they'll never get called out on it in the manner that Pauline Hanson does, not just by the establishment in the Parliament. And you have to understand, you have the Labor Party, the Liberal Party calling her out. Only Senator Babette from the United Australia Party actually sided with One Nation today and Pauline Hanson, supporting her.
Is he the only one? He's the only one?
He was the only one.
Credit where credit is. It's hard for me to say. Hard for me to give Babette any credit, but I give him credit for that one.
Yeah, and there was actually what Marine Faruqi was talking about, that someone in the Parliament said that they hate Muslims. They were referring to Senator Babette because he said he hates radical Islam in the Parliament House.
To her, that's the same thing. That's to her. That's obviously the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it all goes down to this point, which I think I've seen a lot of Australians talking about, Avi, online, is that as Australians in the Parliament, obviously the people in there represent a wide variety of views. This is not the Greens Parliament. This is not Marine Faruqi's Parliament. This is not, the Muslim Parliament. This is the Australian Parliament, and it represents a wide variety of views. And if we're going to have a democratic nation where we espouse all these ideas of equality and, having people's voices heard, then surely Pauline Hanson deserves to have her opinions put forward, her voice heard. And if she wants to walk in there with a garment, in this scenario, a burqa, which, as far as I know, Avi, is not mentioned anywhere in the Quran. It's a cultural address that people choose to wear culturally. And even that is a very small minority of people, usually in oppressed countries, where it's forced on them. So if an Australian senator, even if she is white, right, doesn't matter what color she is, if she wants to talk about this garment and talk about why it's a risk or why it's oppressive for women, you got to be able to handle it. It shouldn't be a place where you dismiss these conversations. This is Australia after all. This is not Pakistan. This is not somewhere in the Middle East. This is Australia. And if in this country, we can't have people standing up for the rights of women, we can't have people talking about national security and the risks, even from a piece of clothing, that I would say, Avi, you probably know this better than me, 99% of Muslims most likely do not even wear this piece of attire. This is not a standard piece of attire.
And a great example
very
is,
limited.
if you look at the Afghanistan, where Senator Payman came from, is when the Taliban lost power, the majority of the burqas came off, or a large percentage of burqas in that extremist kind of area came off. But the minute the Taliban took back control, all the burqas are back on. That should tell you everything you need to know. Now, you know what? I'm not going to sit there and have the argument with the Islamic community about whether it's religious, whether it's custom as opposed to, or tradition, or it's clearly, like we can see with our own eyes, the majority of even practicing Muslims don't wear that. But, you know, there are different, I know from the Jewish community, there are different
I don't think it matters.
Different
I don't think
sects
it
of
matters.
Jews. At the point that she's making here is face coverings in public is a security risk, whether it's counterterrorism, but also just general security. She makes the point that, you know, if you walk around, how do we, when they ask her the statistics of people that have committed whatever offenses, she's like, you don't know if it's a man or you don't know if this has happened. But the point is, you should be allowed to, in Australia, which is what you were saying, to have the conversation. Now, she just tried to have the conversation, a conversation that many Australians agree with. And what did they do? It's so crazy that their response to her bringing up the conversation was to shut it down immediately. So then she goes, okay, you're saying we can't discuss this. We can't discuss banning it. So I'll make the point in the best way. I'll come dressed in the thing that you don't let me ban. And now that's the crime. She just wore it. And in response to that crime, they're censuring her with the biggest punishment the Australian Parliament has ever dished out. Worse than everything Lydia Thorpe has ever copped. Anything the Greens have done. How many times have they broken parliamentary rules by bringing either props, what's her name from the Green, brought a freaking fish in? All of them come in kafirs. They come with signs. They come with different flags, foreign flags. Like, they come in with so many things that breaches the rules and are so much more disruptive. Look at Lydia Thorpe, and I know you gave that example. How often is she disruptive to Parliament? Heck, she heckled the King. No matter what you think about the monarch, no matter what you think about whether you want to be a Republican, right now, he's our head of state. And he came here on an official visit to the Parliament. And she heckled him in the rudest manner, in the most disgusting fashion, the most embarrassing to our country. And she wasn't even given a day off Parliament.
Yeah.
The double standard is disgusting.
And I think to base all of this on being somehow racist and Islamophobic is again strange, because when you truly look into this issue, a lot of the countries which have banned the burqa or restricted its use in certain public settings are either Muslim majority countries or have large Muslim populations. They're based in the Middle East or in Africa or in Asia. And they've gone ahead and done this. So how is it racist? How is it Islamophobic if countries who practice this faith also have gone ahead and banned this? Like, these are legitimate conversations that we should be able to have in Australia, which is at the heart of it. We are based a Christian foundational nation. That's the basis of Australia. Like, the founding of Australia is based on that. We should be able to have any kind of conversation that we want about different faiths and different religions, particularly foreign ones which are entering this country. Like, we don't, because some other religious group practices it, we don't allow child marriages. We don't allow female genital mutilation because some religious faiths culturally practice those things. We don't allow that in Australia. So why does this piece of clothing that oppresses women get a pass? And you know what I've seen over the last couple of days, or just last 2 days? I have seen activists in overseas countries, especially Iranian women, praising Pauline Hanson, saying that she's making a valid point that this is a garment that represses us and oppresses us, that these type of things in a country like Iran has led to the murder of people who have just taken off a veil, not even a burqa. So this is a layered issue that captures many different things which we are known for in the West, which is fighting for women's rights, right? Which is protecting our countries from security threats. And why can't it be discussed in our parliament? Of course it should be discussed in our parliament, because if we can't discuss it in parliament, we can't discuss it anywhere else. And to the people that say that, oh, well, people in burqas haven't, there's not many attacks attributed to it, from the research that I did into this, what I found in the countries that actually banned burqa, the reason they give for it is that it actually makes it harder for terrorists or other groups to commit attacks because they have to do it more out in the open. So it is a preventative measure. It's not really they're going to do an attack. It's more to prevent terrorist attacks from taking place by allowing usually males to use
I
it as a
also
disguise
think
and
there's
carry
this.
propaganda.
I also think that there's this new, not a tradition, but a new fad of kids wearing balaclavas and that. And I think that should also be blocked. You're seeing people running around balaclavas and machetes at the moment, like. No face coverings. I kind of agree with that. I don't only think the burqa. I don't even think we need to have the argument. I think there is a valid argument about women's rights and all that. But putting that all aside, in Australia, I want to feel safe walking down the street. I don't want anyone with face coverings. And I think that discussion is legitimate. And shutting it down by calling it Islamophobic and racist is complete nonsense, especially from the most racist and divisive people. That's the thing. Let's quickly read a couple of super chats, and then we'll get to Pauline Hanson's. I want to actually watch her. I know they've cut little pieces, but let's watch her press conference in response to the censure. I know she was shrugging it off, but let's hear what she has to say. Firstly, Anthony got in straight away. Thank you for the super chat, Anthony, where he said it's Trump's fault, which it most certainly is. Baz the Dark Horse, thank you for coming back tonight, Baz, and tuning in, and your super chat. Islamists never. Oh, hang on. Yes, we'll take that as a comment. Thank you for your super chat. We've got 69 Thai baht. It's very suspicious when we get 69 Thai baht from Maxty, but I'm not going to read into this because I'm not a conspiracy theorist, or at least not to that degree. We're all you people. She's offensive. Censure.
Referring to Marine Faruqi because she always says "you people,"
you
white people. So she's referring to everyone. That's my opinion, but she's very vicious with her attacks for sure.
I know there's people in the comments saying that it's not mentioned in the Quran, so it's not strictly Islamic, and that's true. I've heard Islamic scholars talk about it, but the point is there are certainly extreme religious sects that it's part of their dress code. But I think that's kind of a decision like coming to Australia, if you're going to live here and the country decides, well, for our own protection, we don't want face coverings walking around. So you need to decide, like, is Australia a place? Another thing you need to decide, like if they decide to ban halal and even kosher slaughter, if the country decides to do that, then people that abide by it, if you can't import it and you can't do it here, then you have to consider moving to somewhere that you have, like the people of Australia get to decide the rules. And I know that conversation comes up as well, and whatever, I'm not going to get into the whole difference between halal and kosher. It doesn't really matter. The point is that when you come to live here, or even if you grow up here, if you have religious customs that become illegal here, then you have a decision to make. Is there a way around it? Can you then get a religious exemption saying, okay, I can't, we don't have to wear the burqa anymore because it's not in the Quran anyways, and it was more of a custom rather than a strict rule? Cool. If not, if it's something you can't live without, then Australia's probably not the place for you anyways.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm very disappointed in someone like Fatia Payman, who does come from Afghanistan. She sees what the Taliban has done in that country. She sees the oppression of women, and they freak out the moment that someone talks about banning that piece of clothing. And many people for years now have talked about freeing the people, the women of Afghanistan from oppression from the Taliban, and that is a part of that discussion is stopping the use of the first forced burqa. So they're not even willing to have these type of intellectual, conversations in Australia. It's literally just virtue signaling. Oh my God, a white woman who we think is a racist wants to ban this. She's not allowed to have this conversation. If we want to ban it, we will do it and we will talk about it. Only we can do it because, we're Muslim or whatever it is. And it's just ridiculous. You can't do that in Australia. This is not a country who should be dictated by foreign values or foreign religions. I'm sorry. I know we have religious freedom, but that doesn't mean that your particular religious group gets to dictate the terms for everyone else. Religious freedom means that we have to strike a balance sometimes. And I think a lot of other concessions have been made, Avi. We make a lot of concessions in Australia for people to freely practice their faith. It wasn't that long ago we had those scenes of people walking around a cathedral in Melbourne. Now, a lot of people found that offensive. But was it banned? Were people disallowed from doing it? Was there raids? And were people, got in trouble for that? No. But we had that conversation. And just like we have those conversations, and just like people are allowed
Mind
to
you,
do things on the street.
they did call that Islamophobic as well.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, everything.
Anytime you're allowed to talk, that's the thing.
How it
And again, like those people that scream loudest about it are the first to talk about Jews or Israel or whatever, and suddenly that's not out of bounds for them. And they do cross the lines, but somehow or they talk about a white Australia, they talk about white Australians and the Australian culture and Israel, and they condemn it. They don't even think about how that's perceived or that's taken or how much that hurts actually the people that are from here, and especially from them as foreigners. Like, keep Lydia Thorpe out for a second, but like Payman and Faruqi, for example, like they have no problem condemning white Australia or, Australia's history, which is super offensive to actual Australians that were born and bred here. But here they get super offended if anyone questions anything to do with their religion, even if it is a blanket, and that's what she was saying, a blanket face covering ban. She was using the burqa.
I mean, look, if all those things are great, and this is all great, the way that they see the world, they wouldn't be in Australia. They'd be in Afghanistan and Pakistan. And there's a reason that Australia.
I think it's a good point. I think it's a good point you make as well, specifically about payment. Is like you escaped the Taliban, you came here, and one of the things that happened as soon as the Taliban fell is all the burqas were coming off, or the majority of burqas were coming off, right? And I bet you those ones that didn't come off, a lot of them had to do more with their families being the extreme ones, and it still wasn't the women's choice. So all those burqas were coming off. And now when the Taliban got back in, all the burqas are forced back on, and you're here in the safety of Australia defending the burqa again.
I mean, it was one of the reasons that Australia was giving refugee status to people fleeing Afghanistan, was based on the oppression of women. And one of the facets of the oppression of women that was always noted to by the left during that time was the fact that they were being forced to wear burqas and stuff. So we've come full circle. And we're giving people refugee status in Australia to escape these oppressive regimes. And we now have parliamentarians in Australia saying that you can't even discuss this or talk about it in Australia. Like, we have to just accept these things. And it's wrong. We don't have to accept these things in Australia.
And the counter argument that they say is the counter argument that they make is some of those women, if you ask them, want to wear it. And that's fair enough. And that's fine. And so you can, as Pauline, I heard her saying in an interview, you can wear it all you like at home. But if you want to come out and be part of our society here in Australia, well, we need to see your face. And you know what is interesting? I heard her making this point in an interview. I don't think it came out as well as I think it was a good point. Is the government is working super hard now to bring facial recognition everywhere, right? Now, I have my problems with all that, but there's going to be one rule for us in society that don't have religious face coverings and the rest of the people, because suddenly they're going, I bet you more people are going to start wearing the burqa to avoid facial recognition if that's not going to be a rule. Like, if that's going to be your exemption, the only way to keep your privacy is to wear a burqa. What's going to stop people wearing burqas?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what is the interaction that you would have with someone as law enforcement, for instance, if someone was wearing a burqa and a face mask? Could you force the burqa person to reveal them? I mean, there's all these kind of questions that come into play, Avi. But it is. I don't think it even goes to that. I think it's just a matter of respecting the fact that we in Australia, I keep hitting this point, should be allowed to discuss whatever the hell we want in our parliament. And even if things are offensive sometimes, well, that's just the nature of it. We cannot stop talking about things just because they're going to offend minorities in this country. That's ridiculous. And it's dangerous.
Okay, Katandra Grand Prix says, Jews need money, here's some assistance. Thank you, Katandra, really appreciate it.
Avi will not say no.
Listen, I know when the generalizations are true. Mia Down Under says, they are doing to Pauline what they did to Trump. We are not stupid. This will help her. God, they are thick. Now, this is an interesting point, because I am wondering, right? If you're judging it based on the reaction online and you're comparing the sides. So you're looking at, like, you know, Marine Faruqi, who's now the poster girl of the left, and what's the name, Faruqi Payman. Like, if you look at all their interactions online, it is nothing in comparison to what you're seeing on the other side. Like the amount of support that they're getting on almost every post. Even I can see, even on reports that we do about it, the traction is huge. But not even talking about like the Rebel News viewers, the people watching this or whatever. I'm talking about, you know, this story went worldwide. It blew up everywhere. I think Ben Shapiro ran it. Like, everybody's running it, but not even just on the conservative side. You see left-wing media around the globe have shared it and, you know, condemning. The headline is, you know, far-right politician enters parliament with burqa, labelled racist. You know, like, that's kind of what they're trying to paint the picture as if the entire country is condemning Pauline Hanson for being a racist, which just isn't true, even if you just look at the comments on those articles from their sites. The question, though, is, which goes to what Mia was alluding to, is it really going to help Pauline Hanson? Because I've heard from people that do vote Conservative, that are wondering, that are worried, that say, oh, maybe this is kind of the reason why I don't take One Nation that seriously. So my question, which I guess we'll find out, maybe we'll get an indication in the next poll, does this give her a boost? Does the fact that she is proving once again how consistent she is, because I know that they keep playing the fact that she did this 8 years ago as a negative. Oh, she's just bringing out one of her old stunts. And it's like, oh, well, you know, a lot of people look at what's the appeal to Pauline Hanson is we've seen her over this, you know, 30-year period where she even went to jail for standing her ground. And yeah, she did it 8 years ago because Pauline hasn't changed. You are the people that keep changing. And you know what was funny is Penny Wong had a crack at 30 years ago, Pauline Hanson stood in here and made a speech, and her first speech was about Australia being swamped with Asians. And she goes, and here I am as an Asian standing at the pole. And I'm thinking, do you not hear what you just said? Is there no irony in that 30 years ago, Pauline Hanson was warning about being swamped by Asians, and you're telling us, oh my God, 30 years later, now she's having to answer to an Asian, which is exactly what she warned about. Now, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Like, I think that there has been...
No. Like, I think Pauline Hanson has been...
I'm just laughing at the way that she said that. I'm like, hold on. Aren't you actually proving Pauline Hanson right?
Yeah. I think she's one of these people, you know, that's been misrepresented in the warnings and the views that she's given over time. And like many people, you're talking about consistency, but I think what a lot of Australians see now when they look at One Nation, and especially their leader, Pauline Hanson, is that what would have difference been made if we took on board some of the things that she was saying 20, 30 years ago?
Close down borders.
Would we be having... Well, not close, like just to have, you know, better immigration policies. That's really what she was talking about.
Absolutely.
What if we had done those things at that time when she was talking about it? And now people seeing the effects of poor immigration policies, particularly mass immigration issues, and they're seeing the issues with assimilation. These are all points that Pauline Hanson brought up, and it's a different time to when she brought it up back then to what it is today. And I think a lot of people see through the BS of our parliamentarians. They see through the virtue signaling these days as well. We're a lot more connected. We are a lot more engaged in this type of media. So people aren't just being fed through the mainstream, because there's a way that the mainstream would, you know, package this whole story, right? It's not happening in that way. People are freely expressing their views online. And that's why you're seeing a lot of support for Pauline Hanson. So I think really, like we've seen over the last couple of months, One Nation's percentages go up in terms of their likelihood of to pick up seats and so on. I think this just adds to it, because people are like,
I was about to ask you your question. I was about to ask you your prediction. Is this going to help or hinder One Nation?
I think a lot of people will, even if they don't like the fact that it's a stunt and maybe it's a bit of a waste of time, they're looking at this and saying, yeah, well, at least she's saying things and trying to fight for us one of the points that was made yesterday when she actually did this was at the end of her being kicked out of the parliament, she was speaking to people in the gallery upstairs, like ordinary people, whoever were there to watch, and she was telling them, "Why look at what they did to me, look at what they're doing to me, look at what they're stopping, an Australian politician from representing her people," and the people in the gallery were clapping and supporting her.
And who were they? Who were they? What kind of people were they? Just random?
Just randoms from what I know.
So not her supporters, yeah.
Not her supporters, no, just people that were watching, because it was like a lot of people watching that day. So in that scenario, I think what you're going to hear from is the people who are usually quiet about these issues and might not really talk about it too much. They will be emboldened by Pauline to be have a bit more conviction in the style of politics that One Nation has, and I think that helps her, because the Liberals, they even struggle today with this motion, and they try to change the wording of it as well. They try to do an amendment to change it around, and
they're idiots. I was listening to it. Just an absolute.
You heard a little bit of that,
Labor
right?
light.
Yeah, the Labor light. So they were just
living
trying
up to their branding. Yeah.
They were being Labor light, and what was happening while they were being Labor light and being all polite? The Greens were just calling them racists, and blaming them.
I know.
So they're playing this game of trying to two-side the whole thing. So a lot of people that don't like that, I think, naturally move over towards parties.
I think it's a fair prediction. I actually think you're right. I think, and this is the way I look at it, is I think she's going to gain more people than she loses for doing it, even just for the fact that the ones that are most vocal on the other side, whether it's Payman, whether it's Faruqi, whether it's the Greens, whether it's Lydia Thorpe, whether it's even Penny Wong, they are so hated by anybody sensible that I think that in itself is going to push more people to Pauline, because they're going to see, oh my God, look, I think Pauline is literally the only one that can push their buttons. Because look, if you see what the Liberal Party is doing, they're not pushing anyone's buttons really. They're just giving free kicks to Pauline. They're not, like, you see the difference in the way that even what you just described, where Faruqi was labelling the Liberals racist for even being Labor light, but it wasn't the same. Like, the only reason why they're angry, the only reason that she has anything to target the Liberal Party with is because she's so angry with Pauline Hanson. That's who's triggered her. And I think that is going to push people towards Pauline Hanson. So I think that there are some people in recent times that are disillusioned with the Liberal Party, that have started to see One Nation as a real viable option, who may look at this stunt and go, I don't like that. There are definitely going to be people like that. The thing is, I think they're in the minority. There are people that might look at that and go, whatever, they'll ignore it. It's not their shtick. But I think more people, for all the reasons we just mentioned, including the fact that it just shows how consistent she is. And she's just down to earth. Like, we'll watch now her media, her press conference, where she just ended up recording the whole thing, which I love. Everyone's doing that now. All right, I hope that answers your super chat, guys. Your super chats are what can direct our conversation, so get in there. Thank you for everyone that's super chatting. The Book of Darkness says the burkas are better at Hungry Jacks. We'll take that as a statement.
It's a classic.
Yes. Lucas says, hey, Avi, why do you think Senator Marine Faruqi hates white people so much? Is it because of colonialism or something? Keep it up, guys. You know what? I think that whole narrative that they have, it's just fashion. It's just like...
I know the answer.
What's the answer? All right, you go. That was my view. What's your view?
One of the main reasons that Marine Faruqi does what she does is to pit white people against other white people. She understands this dynamic. She understands the power in doing this. And, and when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about pitting the Labour Party against the Liberal Party. That's why she's doing that. And even within her own party, it gives her a level of control, because they all jump in behind her saying, we're racist. Literally, the Greens Party, which is majority of people that vote for the Greens are white people. I would say they're self-hating white people, a lot of them, because even the ones that sit in Parliament, they're like, yeah, we're racist. They chime in all the time to tell everyone how racist white people are. So they back her as well. And I think she understands the effect of doing this. And because a lot of the things that she says are never going to be resolved in the way that she wants them to be resolved. She gets that. As someone who's of a Pakistani heritage and background, she understands that even within Pakistan, like there's these issues around differences in ethnicities or differences in religious groups, and that plays out. So, but she treats Australians as being like such a low tier people because of their history. Well, the history of Pakistan is not so pretty, and the modern day Pakistan is not so pretty as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Australia is a bazillion times up there when you consider the way that we've advanced, treated people, and allowed the kind of freedoms that we do in this country. So she understands that a lot of this, like you said, is fashion, it's theatrics. She can pit white people against each other, waste their time on these kind of nonsensical things, and she scores points with the left because a lot of the left, they're all virtue signalers. They love hating on themselves and they believe in all this nonsense. And that's why she does that. Lydia Thorpe, on the other hand, who used to be in the Greens, I think she definitely, even though she's like half white, she definitely has this kind of grievous black power, black sovereignty mentality that she, thinks like she's some sort of savior as well. Again, completely like not all there. But I think there's a difference. And I personally believe that's why Marine Faruqi does what she does. That's my opinion.
It's a tactic. It's a tactic she's using essentially to get what she wants out of it.
Pretty much, yeah. Because like a lot of Labor will side with her. A lot of these things are coordinated in this place in Parliament House. A lot of these people, even though they're in different parties, having spent a little bit of time here, there's a lot of coordination that happens in the background. One of the things that I saw watching the start of that before they censured Pauline Hanson, as soon as Senator Wong walked into the chamber, the first thing she did was walk up to Lydia Thorpe and just have a little conversation. So who knows what the hell are these people talking about? But like, it's a little club. You know what I mean? And their little club.
Do you think Lydia Thorpe wakes up every morning, looks in the mirror, and gets her white half to apologise to her black half?
I don't know how she does that.
Is she even black half? Is she even half Aboriginal, or is she like a quarter or something? Definitely.
I don't know.
Her dad's definitely white.
Yes.
So like, I'll just be so interested. How do you deal with that? Like, how do you navigate that, or do you just hate the white half of you? Does she beat Does she beat the white half of her?
We've seen her publicly like spaz out on this, where she refused to take the oath under the Queen's name or whatever, and it's all performative. And then when she realized that you kind of had to do that if you wanted to keep your job there and get that salary, she did it anyway. So
she likes that white money. She likes that white money. That's for sure.
She likes the money. She likes the privileges. She likes the chairman's lounge and wherever she was staying, the contest lounge, the stories. So she loves all those things. But it's again theatrics for the rest of the public.
I think any of these politicians that like advocate for the things that Lydia Thorpe does, like full black sovereignty or whatever, we should make them go live out in the bush for, let's say 6 months trial, and if they can hack it. And take away all the white man stuff, so go hunt and live off the land. And then in 6 months, if she survives it, then we can discuss, a long-term negotiation where she can have the land and just stay there.
Yeah.
I'm down for I'm down for some sort of treaty that includes that. Guys, I'm just interested in the comments because I know we're kind of guessing here. Let us know. Like, I'd be interested in people who follow. I don't know if this would be a biased group of people, but are there people? So tell us in the comments. Are you people that was not going to vote for One Nation, and this makes you? You might have been voting for one of the minor parties. You might have considered One Nation as one of your top picks. Does this push you over the edge? Does this make you want to vote for One Nation if you weren't voting for One Nation for sure? I'm not like people that are voting for One Nation for sure. Let us know in the comments you were voting One Nation for sure. But I'm talking about, I'm more interested in the people that weren't 100% sure and this does push them. And the other way, is there anyone in the comments that looks at this and goes, well, that's a bit of a clown show. I feel like it's waste, it's unimportant, it's unserious, and now I'm no longer willing to vote for One Nation. I'll give it to one of the other minor parties or whatever. Let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear. Okay. What do we got? When you say you're voting for One Nation this time, can you expand? Like, let us know that you actually weren't voting on One Nation. I just want to see what the comments are saying. But yeah, they're saying voted before and still would. A lot of people saying they will. I don't think they're understanding what I'm asking. I'll keep voting for Pauline. That one makes sense. So tell us if you keep voting, but if you're somebody that wasn't, I'm more interested in that.
Well, Rob says this will make me vote for One Nation. There's one.
Is there anyone that will say, also keep an eye out if anyone says that they're not voting for One Nation because of it? Because I'm interested in that. Okay, Max, who gave us 69 baht, which I found suspicious before, and he said, Thai baht, chat Thai baht, I'm cheap, okay, plus I ran away from Melbourne. Listen, Max, I appreciate every baht. I wish I was there right now in Koh Samui, Kopangan. I'll go to Pattaya, all right? I'll go to Pattaya if I... just to spend a Thai baht. But my problem that I had, what I found suspicious, is the 69 Thai baht. It feels like a subliminal message.
69 in Thailand is an auspicious number.
I'm sure it is.
So there's that. You got to go there to find out why.
I don't know. I've spent a lot of time in Thailand and I didn't find out the 69 auspiciousness. But do you want to tell us that story, Rukshan? Do you want to tell us how you found out that 69 is an auspicious number in Thailand?
I have no idea. No comments, guys. Let's move on.
Maybe Adrian can help us out with that one. By the way, nothing to do with this conversation. Have you ever had an STD check? Mia Down Under says Gold Coast spit around SeaWorld full of homeless camps now. Don't park your car there at night all through the bush. That's sad to hear. I wouldn't mind going. Maybe I'll go do a That's not a bad tip. That's pretty crazy. Why is it? What's attracting people to that specific spot? Is it just the good weather to camp there?
Maybe there's a lot of space there for parking around SeaWorld.
I wonder what that is because like in America, for example, you see them getting attracted to the cities that are, what do they call it, sanctuary cities. I don't think Queensland.
We don't have that.
City.
No.
Vic Oz 2BC, thank you for your generous super chat there. Says, hey guys, good show. Social media reports Victoria Police have declared the CBD and parts of the inner city suburbs designated areas for the next 6 months. Source from Instagram. Is that?
I haven't heard that.
I might have to look into that because I don't know if that they can possibly do that. Thanks for the tip. I'll take a look at that, and thanks for the super chat. Paul Murray says, welcome back, Paul. We face two sources of infiltration, Islam and China. I think there are different ideologies that are certainly taking over in Australia and will take over if you're not careful. I think Islamization, that's no secret. That's what happened. If you look at Europe, you look at the UK, that does happen. It's a number. In fact, you don't have to. You can look historically at the Middle East. That's what happens. It's there have been traditionally through conquest, through violent conquest, but it's also been through just migration, and later then that turns into forced. Once you have majorities or large minorities, things change. At this point, yes, we are being. There is mass migration from other ideologies that are non-compatible with Australia. While they're small, they never matter. What was that saying? I think it was Hitchens that says that. What was it? Islam. It's they fight when in minority. They fight for minority rights. When in majority, there are no minority rights. It's just like it's an interesting. Perspective, and I think
it's important for people to know, Avi, that even when we talk about this topic, I'm not trying to be disparaging of Chinese people or people who have the Islamic faith, but I'm just talking about realities here. They are more dominant today in Australia, just in naturally because we don't have a dominant culture. I believe personally, we just our cultural identity here is waning. The Australian identity is being challenged. You have things like, people can't celebrate Australia. You can't have the national flag displayed in certain instances. Australia Day parades are banned. So then you have into that this mix of dominant, whether it's religious groups or cultural groups like the Chinese. And when I say dominant, I mean they're not interested in, for instance, learning English sometimes. They don't need to. That's why we have airports now in Melbourne. I don't know if you've noticed in Tullamarine Airport, we have signs in Chinese. We have English and then Mandarin or whatever signs in our airport in Melbourne. Like, why? Why is that happening? Why aren't people learning English? Why are we just catering to this? And again, it's not to disparage people. I'm just saying, like, we have these dominant cultures. They're not integrating. They don't want to integrate. They don't need to integrate because they don't care. And they have their own communities. And they will dominate. And a lack of it just naturally happens. Naturally.
And I think there's also, and I think there are different layers to the fear that people have, with these different minorities and dominating cultures. You've also got, within the Chinese community, you've got the element of the CCP that are trying to infiltrate and take Australia by stealth. They realise that they try from many angles. They try to buy it out. The Belt and Road Initiative is a way that they've controlled many governments around the world. They almost got in here in Victoria. The federal government at the time during Andrews blocked that. But that's one way they do it. They also have a lot of people on the ground. And remember, there are 2 billion Chinese. Not all of them are going to be loyal to the CCP. I'm sure a lot of Chinese that come here, I don't know the numbers. I'd be guessing that there is a percentage of them that are anti the CCP. But they do seem like, when you meet Chinese people, they all do seem quite protective of their government. Like they don't, it's not like they come here. They're not like Pauline, where they came here as a refugee to escape the Chinese government. The majority come here, they migrate here, they kind of stick to their own themselves, whatever, but they still are very sympathetic to the Chinese Communist Party, which is dangerous. Because one day, when people talk, and we've covered this before, when people go, oh, who are you going to fight for when there's a war, Israel or Australia? Never going to happen. So kind of just a ridiculous question, a ridiculous notion. But the Chinese, it may happen. And there are a lot of people, and a lot of these Chinese people, I've met a lot of them, which are good people. But I think that they're way more connected and loyal. And when I talk to them about the Chinese Communist Party, because that's kind of naturally, I tend to talk politics with people when I just meet them from different and they don't, like, a lot of them, because they're so, stuck in their world, they have no idea who I am or what I believe or whatever, and we just have like a genuine conversation, and they don't hide the fact that they don't. They like the Chinese Communist Party. They tell me that they're misunderstood. And, and that's kind of funny, because you have come to move here, and so why is it that you came to move? But like I said, they're not like Afghanis that escaped the Taliban, and like Pauline that are suddenly defending the same things she escaped. And then the Islamic community, I think people are worried about the ideology that brings. That doesn't mean all Muslims that come here are bad. There are a lot of good Muslims that are here that, like, I personally know. Like, it's not even a thing. The point is, when they become a dominant, and that's kind of the statement that I was quoting, which I think was Hitchens or whatever, is it? But I might be wrong, whoever I got it from. But the point is that Islamists, when they're a minority, they're always fighting for minority rights. And you see that here, even like extremist Islamic groups here now, they will go on about freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of all the... Now, give them the chance and let them rule, you're going to have no minority rights. And that is such a true statement. And that's what people need to think about. So when you have these minorities that are screaming for extra freedoms and for their minority rights, just think about what it means if they become the majority. That's it. What have we got? Wolfie says, thank you for another super chat. Wolfie, the Conservative, says, Pauline mocked Charlie Kirk and Faruqi attacking white people, suddenly playing the victim card. So true. I totally forgot about that. She did mock Charlie Kirk's murder. And again, this is somebody that escaped political violence in Afghanistan, came to one of the safest countries in the world, especially when she got here, it was one of the safest countries in the world. And she's importing that kind of justification, that mentality of justifying political violence.
Mm.
It's just another layer to it.
It's sad to see that happening. And you do see that a lot from these refugee groups that I don't understand. Like they escaped the worst, they come here to the best, and they want to make us go through some of that as well. I don't understand.
Thanks for the super chat. Who we got here? We got Lucas says, Avi, what's your thoughts on Penny Wong? To me, she isn't as bad as the radical Muslims in Parliament. However, I'm still not a fan of her. Look, it depends who you're comparing it to. I think she's dangerous. I think she's a leftist. She kind of reminds me of, like when you have a Giuliani in Syria, who, and the reason why I make the comparison, she's obviously not a radical Islamist, but he was a radical Islamist that looked like a terrorist, on the most wanted list. Until he became the president. And now he wears a suit and looks cleanly put together, doesn't look like that scary terrorist figure that's, on the top 10 wanted people in America. I think Penny Wong is like the clean version of the radical leftist. I think she holds many of those views. She's just polished.
She's a very crafty, she's a very crafty, competent Labour politician. And for what it is, she does her role in the Labour Party as a Senate leader very well. And she's been doing that for a long time. She does flip-flop on issues, but she manages to hide all of that. And she's really good at doing what she does. Now, I'm not saying that she's good at her job, per se, and her policies are good. But in terms of a Labour politician, she fits the mold very well. And I think that's why she's been successful over these years.
She makes the Chinese Communist Party very proud. Anyways, moving on. We got Marie Faruqi's son hates white people too. Listen, you're not allowed to say that. So you've got to be very careful with Marie Faruqi's son, who has had a few cracks at me in the past. In fact, he was the reason I lost my first Facebook page, and then that was the excuse that I lost my other Facebook page. He is the first person to cry victim about everything, and so is she. But they are not very nice people. He has sued successfully. What's his name in New South Wales?
Latham.
Yeah. Faruqi's son successfully sued Latham for saying something like that. So I'm just going to say outright, I do not think Faruqi's son is a anti-white racist or whatever, but I think most of Australia thinks it.
Yeah, I don't think that either, but I've seen people share particular tweets and stuff of things that have been said in the past. Whether it's real or not,
I'm just reporting what the people think. I'm not saying it's true, Faruqi, but listen, they're not very fond of a lot of people. That they go on about. I love how she goes, people of color, brown people, this and that. It's like, dude, do you listen to yourself sometimes?
Yeah.
I think, like, if you're somebody that complains about that all the time, would you not have enough self-awareness or self-awareness to know that when you go on rants about other races, if you just removed the word white out of it and you put it for any of the other groups that you think should be protected and it sounds horrible to you, do you not suddenly stop and think, hold on, maybe I shouldn't do that if I just whinge about this all day, every day?
Yeah.
And that's what she does. So and when you ask these kind of people to kind of explain that, they'll always say to you, well, you can't be racist against white people, which is the most insane thing, because by definition you can't. Like, racism doesn't mean only against certain races. It's racist. So, white is also a race. Anyways, I think I have to explain it to you guys. Sunnyside First says Aussies won't put up with Hanson being stood down by down by that weak Senate. Facts that LNP crossed the floor. Deplorable. We will back the underdog. I tend to believe that actually that's a good addition to what I was saying before. I think Faruqi, Payman, all of them, their outrage encourages people to jump over even more to One Nation, especially people that I think that are looking at the different minor parties and they go, okay, you know what, I'm going to put One Nation at the top just because of the way that they trigger. But I also think that the LNP crossing the floor on it, you know, even trying to put their amendments to it, will also encourage disillusioned, you know, people on the board, on the fence about whether they're going to go the Liberal Party or One Nation. I think it's going to push people across. But again, the question is, will it cross more people who are on the fence thinking maybe One Nation, but maybe I'll still go with the Liberals. Oh, no, this is too silly. I'm going to go back to Liberals. And the people the other way. Like, I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, the Faruqis and the Paymans of the parliament, they're kind of the left-wing extremists of that parliament. Yep. They remind me of the effect that the NSN maybe has on migrant groups, for instance, might not be voting Conservative because of some of their antics, for instance. So I think they do end up pushing people that might be on the fence to a particular side with their antics. And again, I'm talking about the majority of Australians is still majority, white Australia is the majority still. And they're looking at people like Faruqi and the things that they're saying, and they are helping to radicalize them against the very things that they argue for.
Yeah. I think he's been cut out because he's at his hotel. This is what happens every time Rukshan is at his hotel. He gets cut out because the internet has a maximum of 1 hour and we've been on for an hour. So we'll let Rukshan call back in. Let me keep going with some of these super chats while we wait for Rukshan to come back. Smokey in Oz, thank you for your super chat. Thank you for your support. Says, what do you think about Elon Musk's efforts in exposing the foreign trolls with the new X policy? I love it. I think that though there are some glitches with it, I'm not sure how reliable they are because even myself, it's got me. I think you got to look at two things when you're reading that. So on the profile, when you click someone's profile, it says where they're based and what app store they're using. And I think you've got to look at both those things. So unless both those things are in a different country, they might not be trusted. And I would probably trust the app more than the based in, because like my one, for example, it says I'm based in Israel, and I see all my haters loving it because they're looking at it going, one second, Rukshan's back here. Yes, we know your internet connection cuts out after an hour. We got it.
It used to be 3 hours, but they've brought it to 1 hour. It's so annoying.
Are they Jews? Is it the Jews? No, so it was just a super chat. Somebody was asking what you think about Elon Musk's effort in exposing the foreign trolls in the new policy. And I was saying, go on.
Well, we exposed Avi Yemeni. That's been fun. And that was fun, showing that you're based in Israel. I don't know if you could pull that up. That was pretty funny. But what was funny was I talked about this on my show yesterday, Avi, and someone mentioned, what about Benji? And I was like, oh yeah, what about Benji? And I actually checked Benji's profile today. Yeah. And even him.
Is he in Israel?
He was based in Israel.
Oh, so okay, that's interesting.
He was a creation of Mossad. And he was engineered in Israel and given over to you when you came here. Or it's because you were both there recently, and that's why it picks up on Israel.
That's interesting. But as soon as I saw it, I went to looking at Tommy Robinson's because I didn't think even of Benji's one, and his one wasn't based in Israel. But I was in Israel for a bit longer than he was for that one, so I don't know how to do it on a desktop. You click it.
Click on when the join by date.
Joined by okay, gotcha. Okay, so here we are. It says account based in Israel. This is what I was telling people is you got to look at the connected app store because I think that's your current connection, and the based in. Based in, just like if you travel somewhere, I think it's probably catching up. So it'll probably, I imagine, change back to Australia at some point soon. But if both of them said Israel or both of them say, then you can be, I think if both of them say a country, you can be quite confident that the person is in that country now. But if you press the information, buddy, the country or region that the account is based can be impacted by recent travel or temporary relocation. This data may not be accurate and can change periodically. So that explains it. But it's funny because I saw so many, like, there's so many haters that are like, oh, I knew it, Avi's not. And it's like, bro, you do realize that the video you're commenting on is me on the street in Melbourne.
Yeah.
What do you think I do? I got a green screen in Israel, and I've hired myself some Aussies to interview and pretend like I'm in. Like, anyways, it's funny. But the general thing of it, I like it. I think it's great. It has genuinely exposed a bunch of accounts. That. And if you use a VPN, I can see someone in the comments is saying the VPN. If you use a VPN, it actually warns you that the person's using a VPN. So, like, it's exposed a lot of these, especially in America, the America First, prominent accounts, which all turned out, or a big chunk of these American First groypers or whatever, who literally their name was America First or their handle. And it turns out they're, in Pakistan or Europe or
Nigeria,
even Australia.
India.
So it did expose people, and I think it's great because I'm seeing, like, when people, there are some of those accounts that are still, like, posting America First or what, America Only, and then immediately they're getting a community note linking or showing a screenshot of their own based in and logged in to thing. But yeah, so just for people looking at that, to be able to read it, don't look at the cropped ones. When people are sharing cropped ones, they're often because the second link doesn't support the conspiracy that the person is actually in the country or whatever.
Yeah.
There we go. We went way off topic there. As Robert Spencer of Jihad Watch put it, the middle name for all woke leftists, self-flagellating useful idiots, is hypocrite. I do love Robert Spencer. Thank you for your super chat, and thanks for sharing that one. Katandra, is it Katandra? Yeah, Katandra Grand Prix. Says Rukshan, is Avi holding you in financial bondage? By the way, I'm a Libertarian Party member through and through. Is that the Victorian Libertarian Party? I'm just trying to force him to super chat another one, Katandra. And yes, I can answer that one. You don't have to answer that. I am absolutely holding Rukshan.
Save me, guys. Help me.
Throw some.
I'm always hoping that people watching this show have figured this out and will one day come and rescue me from all of this.
Max 69 baht again is the default cheapest amount for Thailand on YouTube. That is interesting.
Of course it is. I told you it's suspicious.
Like I said, I believe you, Rukshan. You just haven't been willing to explain to us how you know that. Thanks for your super chat. Super chat, when's the UFO show? Even Megyn Kelly's on board. Yes, Equity. Thank you for coming back on, man. Megyn Kelly, you can see, is like slowly but surely joining the lunatics. It starts off by them not wanting to call out the lunatics and saying that it's like from this moral high point, high ground where they're not going to condemn people. And then, like, one day later, you'll see Megyn Kelly going on there and condemning, what's his name, Levine, and all in the exact same fashion she said she can't do to people she's being friendly or with it. Like, they're so transparent, these people. She's a clown, but she's always been a clown, so we knew that.
Yeah.
Adrian says, Avi, you missed my super chat about Faruqi. I'm sorry. It comes through the system here. I'm sorry if I missed any super chats around Faruqi. I click it and then I let it go, so it should come up here. The book, and by the way, I appreciate your super chat. Sorry that I missed it if I missed it. The Book of Dark says, why is there less outrage over the murder of that health insurance CEO Robert Thompson than with Charlie Kirk? Look, I think one reason why there's less outrage is just because of the visual. You know, the world watched it in real time. It was gruesome. But I think it is kind of outrageous in the same way that it was outrageous that there were many on the left, many who celebrated Charlie Kirk's murder. They were the same people who celebrated the murder of that health insurance CEO. And also, like, I think just Charlie Kirk had become a household name, even here in Australia. Like, my kids knew it from TikTok, short TikToks. They knew who he was. So he became a household name. And I think the death of any household name is probably a lot more, it's a lot closer to people's
yeah, I agree.
Heart, I guess. Here we got, Max threw us 179 Thai baht. Thank you, Max, for upping it. Mind you, I think Rukshan was loving his auspicious 69s. Penny Wong is very dangerous. She starts with statements that are agreeable and then slides into biased statements that seem prima facie connected. And that's kind of what they do. It's a, you know, you've got to like have your finger on the pulse when listening to polished politicians and also media personalities. They have techniques to present things. You know, they get you, like you give them, they get you to agree with their first half of the statement, and then they lead you into, well, if you agree with that, then obvious the next point is this, and they take a lot of people along with that, and they don't even realize. You know, a lot of people are convinced by certain things, opinions, based on that technique that's used against them all the time by people that they believe in or messages, or they. Sure. Payman is the Australian Islamic Greta Thunberg. We'll take that as a comment for your 69. I'm sure Payman appreciates a 69er. Peter Wilson says, Avi, do you think over time we will see less white politicians in Parliament over time and more people of colour, say in the next 10 to 30 years? I think yes, anyways, just as the demographics change in the community here in Australia. But I also think, just like there's this drive right now clearly in front of our faces to promote women, this diversity, equity and inclusion is really focused on women now. And that's why we see, female premier here in Victoria, female leader of the opposition party nationally, female opposition leader here. You're telling me these are all the best people for the job? I guarantee you they're not. I look at these people and they are not the best people for the job. So in that same vein, yes, I think we will see more politicians of colour who are playing the identity politics. What do you think?
I get to see it. I get to see it firsthand. I'm here at Parliament House in Canberra, and you know, if you're looking at the staff and some of the politicians who are coming up now, they are, you know, not your traditional white Australian politicians. And you do see them being elevated to positions within whether it's the government or opposition, more so the Labor movement. You see a lot of them being elevated. And, I think what we're going to see is, like you said, you know how there's kind of like the token woman right now in the Labor movement. They'll eventually go towards, okay, well, if we can get more votes by having a brown person as the leader or the minister in this case, or as the opposition, whatever it is, yeah, let's put the brown person there because he can guarantee us power overall. This is kind of what happens over time. And I think you'll just see more and more of that as we go forward and as demographics continue to change. That's a whole other conversation I don't want to get into because it goes to a lot of different issues we talk about other times. Yeah. But I'll leave my comment at there.
You know what? And I think it's a good point that you're making is that right now, the push is actually probably going to be from your woke, white, leftist or Labour-lights that are pushing this. We need to bring more people of colour in, just like we need more women. And then what's going to happen as the demographic changes in the community is those communities themselves are going to be pushing to vote in. Like you look in the UK, in certain areas, they are voting just Muslim mayors, like if you just count the amount of Muslim mayors, I think it's mayors in most of those districts that are Islamic, because the community demographics have changed, where the voting bloc has become so strong. So I think they're both going to work alongside each other.
We're seeing in recent times in Darebin, Michigan, that's what we're talking about, right? With these Somalian politicians and the kind of takeover that's happened with that. It actually does happen. Like it will currently, the trajectory that Australia is on, it will happen.
Yeah.
And you're going to see a lot more, Chinese Australian or Indian Australian, or let's say if we're talking about religious groups, Muslim type politicians rise to prominence, because they're going to get these votes. Because in those communities, like you mentioned, Avi, the voting style is pretty much, they look like me, I'm going to vote for them. A lot of the times they don't even look at the ideology, they don't look at the policies. Nothing's like, this person looks like me, it's one of us, we're going to vote for them. And it's very insular society, enclaves that are created, and it works already. A lot of the people that are the people of color politicians in the Labor Party, they're in predominantly seats or areas where those populations are big, so that they get through. It's not always on merit per se.
I see all these dumb comments. I don't know how many people, because they just scroll up. But Jewish ethno-state, okay. Australian ethno-state, or whatever. Firstly, Israel's not an ethno-state, you idiots. It's a quarter non-Jewish. Firstly, that's to start with. And secondly, the funny thing is, conservative Jews here in Australia, now even the broader Jewish community, but there was a lot of left-wing Jews, and the reason why they had certain views on immigration was because they were left-wing, not because they were Jewish. But I think a lot of those have pulled back on those views, because they realise now that their view on immigration, their stance on immigration, caused a lot of the dramas that we've seen in the last couple of years, targeted at the Jewish community. So I think the Jewish community as a whole now generally is actually a lot more cautious about open borders. But conservative Jews like me have always supported strict border policy, closed borders. And also, what did we see? So the next comment here, next super chat was, say hi to Tommy for us. Firstly, you can come say hi to him for yourself at the rallies on the weekend. He's going to be speaking via video to the rallies, so get down there. We'll be there on Sunday, covering that one. So obviously, if you can't make it, we'll have our live streams there on the ground. But otherwise, come and see Tommy Robinson speaking at his first Australian rally. But we saw Tommy on his trip on the first night or second night. He showed that some of the dramas that they had here, they actually have. I didn't really know much about it. In Israel, where there was a period of time where left-wing politicians had this kind of open border policy, and then the right-wing government came in and closed it off. Now there is none of the illegal crossings into Israel, but it's a problem that you've had around the world, and the problem is a left-wing problem.
Yeah,
and they sorted it there. It's funny. The government there were telling us, it's a bit like how Australia stopped the boats. That's kind of the same thing that. Except that in Israel, they're not accepting people coming on planes and then doing that stuff either, which we're doing. We are allowing here. Katandra says, another super chat, thank you. Open up chat, super chat. FBI, open up. Avi, release the hostage, Rukshan. They care about you still, Rukshan, even though you're getting more hate these days. They care about. Insane Shooter says, that was just my opinion based on previous tweets against white people. Don't sue me. Insane Shooter, I think you've covered yourself nicely there. And Fariki-san will not sue you. Okay, that's all the super chats for now. Let's watch Pauline Hanson's press conference.
Wow. All right. I think you know what happened in the Senate. I just want to open with a comment. It was what can I say? I didn't know it was going to happen. It was only about 2 minutes beforehand. I didn't even have a time to read it. And this is not unusual what happens in the Senate, what they actually do. I was a bit upset that I wasn't given the time to respond properly to it. I was denied that right yesterday on the floor of Parliament to actually speak to it. Again, today I felt that. Senator Wong made sure it was only 30 minutes. I wasn't aware of that. That's why I let other people get up to have their say. Then I could have counteracted that, but they cut it off. Gallagher got up and cut it off, and this is what happens to me all the time. 5 minutes was not long enough for me to respond to it, and but anyway, I tried to explain to the Australian people how I feel about it and why I've stood my ground with regards to this. And that's what I'm saying now. It's about the Australian people. I have the utmost respect for the heart of our democracy, which is that Parliament. I do respect the Australian people. I have the utmost respect for people that have come here for a new way of life. But those people that actually come and pull me up and they say, Pauline, we're a migrant that have come here. Please stand, strong and tall in what you believe in, because we love Australia and we don't want it to become like the place we've left. So I do have a lot of migrants that do support me. My position on banning the burqa, and I still stand strong by that, if they really believed in what they were saying, they didn't want to ban the burqa, yet they denied me the right to wear it on the floor of Parliament. There is no dress code on the floor of Parliament, yet I'm not allowed to wear it. So to me, it's been hypocritical. I'm not going to answer to the Parliament or the members in there, because to tell you the truth, I don't have respect for most of them. I think they say one thing and do another. That was the heart of the democracy, to allow me to move my private member's bill, to debate the issue, then put it to the vote. They have denied me that right, not on this one occasion, but previously as well. And I think that needs to be questioned also. I'm censured. Does it really worry me? No, it doesn't. For 7 days, not at all. I'll stand my ground on what I believe in. I will continue to do so. And, it will be the people that will judge me. I will be standing for the next election in Queensland, and I will let the people of Queensland judge me whether I have earned my place to be re-elected again or not. I will not let these people here judge me.
Senator Hanson, can you just explain what the point of all of this is? You've worn the burqa in there twice now over a course of 8 years. You've been kicked out for 7 days. Your bill's not even going to be debated at this point. So what's the point? What have you achieved by doing this?
It was never, they were never intending to debate the bill. And the first time I wore it, it was about, there was no dress code in the chamber. And what I wanted to do was set a precedent there that let's decide on it. They threw it out. They wouldn't even vote on it, did nothing about it. They threw it out. If they had done that 7 years ago, I would never have been able to wear the burqa. When I introduced my bill yesterday, straight away, without even getting through introduction of the bill, they shut it down. One voice, that's all it takes. There was two. Tammy Tyrrell from Tasmania denied me that right, and so did the Greens. So without even allowing me to introduce the bill, they denied me that right. Why? If you think that the Australian people are on their side, debate the bill, let it go to the vote, and then the decision's made. But they denied me that right. And when they denied me that right to ban the burqa, well, if you don't want to ban the burqa, then I'll go and put it on. And that's exactly what I did. And that even upset them more. You don't want to ban it, but you don't want me wearing it.
Can I just understand why you're putting this on the agenda? Are you aware of any incident in Australia?
It's not about incidents. It's not about incidents. It's the same thing as what I put up about climate change, or I put up about immigration policies, and I've spoken against multiculturalism. It's having a vision for the future, where the country's headed. These buggers in here have no idea about that whatsoever. So what it's about is having vision and seeing what's going to happen in the future. That's why I've spoken about multiculturalism. And now, I was ridiculed for it at the time. Now, you have even John Howard's come out and said it hasn't worked. Other leaders of other nations said it hasn't worked. We are multiracial, people from all different cultural backgrounds, but we must be Australians, all treated equally under one law. That's why I have brought this about with many things, even with climate change. I've been the one who opposed even COVID-19, I've opposed the voice based on it wasn't equal rights for all Australians.
Senator, why now? You've done this 7 years ago. Why are you doing it now?
You didn't listen to my explanation. I'm sorry. I said it was not a requirement in the Senate. And I spoke to Senator Ryan at the time. He said there is no dress code for the Senate. So therefore, and did you listen to my explanation? I said because I did, and I explained that. I raised it yesterday to do it. They didn't want to ban it. They wouldn't allow the conversation. So therefore, I thought that
Yes. Did that inform your thinking at all in the timing of bringing this issue of the burqa back to Parliament?
No, it didn't. Nothing to do with it.
Do you have specific examples of how?
Sorry.
Do you have specific examples of how wearing the burqa is a threat to national security?
It's not only just national security. If you cannot wear a helmet into the bank or any other venues where they tell you to take it off, why is the burqa any different? Why is it that when women can drive around wearing the burqa and they commit an offence on the roads, that police officers can't identify who they are? It's a lot of things that are security risks. It also comes to the fact that we're going to have a digital facial ID. So where does that come in the scheme of things? Are we going to treat one group of people totally different to every other Australian? Still.
On radio this morning, Barnaby Joyce why don't you join your party early at the end of this week. At the end of your dinner last night, what was your view? You reckon he's going to come across?
I think he enjoyed dinner. I made him a damn good dinner. But anyway, well, I told you I was going to wine and dine him, and hopefully, well, we'll see what happens. It's still a final decision has to be up to Barnaby. But anyway, he got a good GR steak. This gentleman here.
Senator Hanson, when you did this 7 years ago, you were a party polling at single digits, around 4 to 5% when you first wore the burqa in the Senate. Now you're polling at 20%. So do you seriously think that 1 in 5 Australians support the position that you want to put forward? And do you think that at this point you're on the verge of becoming mainstream? Why go back to what many people see as a fringe issue as opposed to having the agenda to other issues that Australians are really talking about, like the cost of living?
Look, I totally agree with you. It is very important to the Australian people, especially with our policies of getting rid of climate change and bringing in an energy policy, which I'll be introducing at the end of the week. And the cost of living, totally agree, farming sector, agriculture, industries, manufacturing, very, very important, high on my agenda, as is family law. National security has been a big issue, and it's also about women's rights, you know. These women who are actually forced to wear the burqa, which don't want to. This is not the Australian culture, Australian way of life. I'm not having a go at it as religion. And people, they're confused. It is not a religious requirement. I respect people of different faiths. I don't always agree with their religious beliefs, but that's not the point here. This is Australia, and 24 countries around the world, including Islamic countries, have actually banned the burqa. So we have to take note of this. Why have they banned it? And mostly it's because they want assimilation. And, you know, I'll state that case. Like I said, the people will judge me. And if I direct people, go to my social pages, listen to the feedback on these radio stations that I've had, and they've told me overwhelming support for myself on this issue. I was pulled up, I came out of the gallery to meet a couple of friends who arrived today. They've actually said, good on you. You know, respect what you're doing. Don't give up. That's a public. As I said, the people will judge me. Not the politicians here who believe they have all the answers, which they don't. That's why this country is in one hell of a mess. I'm going to take 2 more questions.
Senator Hanson, so just on the burqa, you talk about the future of Australia and maintaining an Australian culture. Is it just the burqa that you have a problem with, or are there other religious and cultural symbols, something like the hijab, but also turbans for Sikh people, perhaps? Is it just the burqa?
But no, as I said, full face coverings. That's what the legislation was about, full face coverings. And the fact is, you know, Islamic fundamentalism, that concerns me. Radicalisation that has happened in this country, Sharia law in some parts of our suburbs, that concerns me, you know, and standing up for women, being able to wear what they want to wear and not being suppressed by the males who want to take them back, you know, hundreds of years. And if people of this parliament screaming out all the time at the Greens and everyone about women's rights and everything like that, but you ignore what is happening, female circumcision that is happening, control of the women, young marriages to women, isn't this important? Are we just going to ignore all this? I'm sorry, I won't. I will keep standing my ground with regards to this.
You say what you want about Pauline Hanson. She wears her heart on her sleeve. I think she speaks from, you know, and I think the average person, I think that's why she resonates. That's why she's polling at 20%. And like I said, it'll be interesting to see next poll if she goes up or down from it.
Yeah, definitely. No, that was a good press conference. I think, you know, a lot of the times you get these sneaky political answers. Like you said, she wears her heart on the sleeve, and she just gave honest, true reflections on why she did what she did. And it's good to see the full press conference as well, because the media do chop it up with their little bits and pieces. So I think that's
I like when she fired. I like how she fired up I like how she fired up. And just before we end, I think on this issue, this just gives you an example of, compare that to that. There is one rule for Pauline, another for the activist class there from the left. And you know what? I think most Aussies can see that, and that is only going to push Aussies towards them.
I agree.
All right, let's go on to the next story. This one, I did a short video on it today, but I think we should all have a listen to the Welcome to Country that was today, over the weekend at the AFLW preliminary grand final.
To conduct an official welcome to the country, please welcome Louisa Boner.
Thank you very much for the lovely, warm introduction. Good afternoon. I join you today as a guest on behalf of the First Nations traditional owners and as a member of the Yugarapu, Jagera clans, Turrbal and Darambiran, Jagera language peoples of southeast Queensland. Springfield sits within Jagera country, which extends from the Port of Brisbane to the East border, the base of the Toowoomba Range, south Mount Barney, east to Roughdowny and north back up along the Logan River to the Port of Brisbane. Before proceeding with today's formalities, I wish to briefly draw attention to a national crisis affecting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children and young people in youth detention. Our children remain disproportionately represented in these systems and are often too treated not as children, young people deserving care, protection and opportunity, but as a number within the structures that serve political and economic interests rather than community well-being. The drivers of this crisis are well known: the ongoing impacts of colonisation, systemic racism, limited recognition of sovereignty, resistance to Indigenous leadership and continued land and economic dispossession. These issues are a matter of social justice, human rights and legal responsibility. There are other countries such as New Zealand and American Native Indians that are leading in these areas and addressing issues in their own country. Australia has already committed to frameworks that uphold rights to self-determination, including the Anti-Discrimination Act 1991, international human rights covenants recognised by the Australian Human Rights Commission, the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, particularly Article 3 and 4 on self-determination and self-government. The Closing the Gap framework also requires governments to strengthen Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander families, communities and cultures. Narangori Limited's programs align with this responsibility by prioritising care, respect and cultural authority across all generations. I would also like to say that every time I'm invited here by the Lions here to do a Welcome to Country, that they're also supporting me to run those programs. Indigenous-led justice models such as Koori and Murray Courts, the Marangooka Justice Reinvestment Project, Maori Rangatahi Courts, Canadian Sentencing Circles and Native American Healing to Wellness Courts demonstrate consistently stronger outcomes than mainstream detention systems. If you wish to discuss this, catch up with me afterwards. Here's my business card.
Here's my business
But to all
card.
the teams here today, I extend my best wishes. A good game upholds fairness, sports.
Okay, and that's about it.
I mean, look, the AFLW is already struggling as it is. The last thing you want to make it into is like a political sermons. It's almost like it was like Parliament House, like a Parliament House speech, or even a podcast. Like, what is going on? Like, can't people just bloody go to a sports game and just watch the sports? I mean, we've had the smoking ceremonies, we've had the welcome to countries, which usually disparage people as well. But it's been short. I haven't heard one like that. This is the first time I'm hearing it, Avi. So this is fresh to me.
It's
And
an
that's
escalation,
crazy.
though.
Like,
To me, this is where you're heading. And there's a few parts to this. Is one, okay, the welcome to country is supposed to be welcome to my country. Like, as an Australian, I don't want to, or if I'm from that area, like, I don't want to be welcome to my country. But you know what? If you're already going to do it, if we have to do it, it's a traditional thing about, well, why the lecture? Why the talk down about this?
Maybe this is how a particular tribe or people back in the day.
Oh, of course, I'm talking about systemic racism.
When the two tribes met, they exchanged business cards and talked about the grievances for half an hour.
It is like a major.
We got the traditional welcome.
This was the point I made in my video today about it, is that this exposes it for what it is. It's a major grift. And at the end of it, like, no shame to turn around and pull out the business card. And I'm imagining they had it on, like, I don't know what she was doing, because we were seeing the screen, so they clearly didn't have the close up and weren't zooming in on it. She literally pulled out a business card and goes, You can get like my business card. I'm actually just fascinated on a practical level.
I look.
How did that
those
work?
issues? All those issues might be valid. There might be, reasonable reasons to be discussing that and, highlighting that. Yes, but again, this is not the format for it. This is not the venue for it. And like you said, the Welcome to Country now has been even more weaponized than it has ever been when you see that. Because what's going to happen? You're going to have Lydia Thorpe going to give a Welcome to Country?
Mind you,
And
she reminds me.
She probably could give a good one.
Listen, she reminds me. Like, imagine I was Aboriginal and I was doing a Welcome to Country. I would just be slightly more sophisticated in saying, go to my URL, welcometocountry.com.au, and make sure to book me in for your next ceremony. It's only $2,500. Like, it was.
I do weddings and bar mitzvahs.
It was such a bad grift. Like, but it was. I guess I'm most frustrated at how awkward and bad the grift was at the end. She needs a URL.
Yeah, that's true.
It's become a
She
joke.
needs a short URL.
In all seriousness, it's become beyond a joke. I think this gives it a bit more of a funny twist because at the end of it, it's so ludicrous, you can't help but laugh. But there's a serious thing below it. One is that enough dividing us. Enough, making it like this is my country. We're one country. Let's move on. Let's, we can recognize our history, our tough history, all that. But we, at the same time, need to recognize that how far Australia has gone, how good it has gotten, and let's not lose it. Let's not lose it to the same people that are pushing this agenda to make us feel so guilty about the past. Those same people are the people that also want us to lose it by importing like third world mentalities and ideologies here to overrun us. So let's become one country where we unite with, the Aboriginal people and we respect their history and their culture, but we look at together where we can go and stop bringing in people that want to destroy that. And then on top of that, dude, like, I'm not paying for this crap anymore. Why am I paying for this? Why do we pay for this? Like, when I say I'm paying, like, as a taxpayer, we pay for all these Welcome to Countries at all these different government ceremonies. And it's thousands of dollars. Like, she got thousands of dollars to stand there and grift. In the worst grifting, like, she should have done a better job.
I'm just thinking of this different scenarios. Like, can you imagine this on an aeroplane as we land on Qantas? Because they have this Welcome to Country or acknowledgement. Just the last half an hour before we land, they play a political speech, and that's the welcome that we get. Like, this is ridiculous. I hope this is like a one-off.
You've actually, I was meaning to pull back up on it. Hold on, I'll see if I can grab it. What was it? Because I already shut that thing. I think I've lost it. Let me see if no, because I just wanted to show you, like, in the beginning when I'm looking, because I just realized it when I was watching it now, is you see she has her name and her company logo on the other side. It is like fully marketed. It's an industry, and we're getting.
Yeah, I mean, I would have appreciated more if she got into some of the attire, some of the Aboriginal dress.
I know
maybe.
she
made a bit of an effort. She just came in her business trackies.
She's a commercialized.
At least she's honest. Honest.
Listen, good luck with it. I hope that business fails, and I hope she gets on with something a little bit more productive in life. All right, another story. Oh wait, there's a couple of super chats. Just before we jump over. Hey, Avi, was wondering how you met your two previous wives, the Chinese Australian one and the full-on Aussie one. Okay, personal question. I like it. No, well, you've given the super chat, so you get it. You can read my full story at rebelfromthestart.com. That's how you grift properly, rebelfromthestart.com. But for those that are too lazy to read, I met my first wife. Actually, she was my first cousin's gymnast partner many years ago, and she spoke Portuguese. And when I was here, I needed somebody to write in Portuguese. One thing led to another. I was super young. I was about 18, 19. We got married at 21. I was super young, and she already had 2 kids. You can read my full story at rebelfromthestart.com. She was a bit older than me, a fair bit older than me. Something I probably on any level shouldn't have got myself into, but I did, and the rest is history. Some of it is good, some of it is bad. The bad you hear about. My current wife, I met after I said I was never going to get married again, and she trapped me. We met on an app, actually. Anyways, read the book, Chop Chop. I like it, Amanda. That's what they love to talk about, is the chopping board, and it's all in the book. The good, the bad, the ugly, rebelfromthestart.com. I make fun of myself in that whole book. Have you read it? Have you read the book?
I read the book, yes.
You liked the book, didn't you? You didn't pay
One of
for
the only books I've ever read.
Did you buy it, or did I give you a free one?
I did buy it to support your grift.
Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is.
There's the book.
Okay, Equity says, can you get Pauline on the show? We've had her on before. See, we changed our format, Equity. We used to, and I think a big part of it is that because we don't have a producer or whatever, it's just me and Rukshan, and mostly me, let's be honest. Rukshan just logs in these days. We touch base in the morning about the topics we're going to talk about. Sometimes they change right before if there's something makes news in the day. So we don't have producers or whatever. So it was getting very difficult to plan, book, set up, all that, the show. So we found it just, we can sustain it if it was just me and Rukshan. And like from time to time to have a guest is fine. And if there's a specific situation in which, you know, somebody's making news and they want to come on the show and they're willing to come on the show or whatever, we were planning to do that. And we have done it a couple of times. I think maybe close to the elections, we'll hunt down political
that's when
candidates and figures.
People are more willing to talk sometimes, and this is the thing.
Pauline's come on, and she's happy to come on.
Pauline's good. Pauline's actually she's not afraid to come on a show like ours. But there are a lot of people who are just kind of like a little bit afraid for whatever reason, because there's like, bad press or something like this, which is just ridiculous and silly. Like, it's just not how it works. If you got nothing to hide, just come on, talk with us, and we're not rough or mean, are we, Avi? I don't think so. Maybe you are.
Yeah. What do we got here? I'm rough on some people. Maybe I got to chill out. Maybe stop scaring them away. Thank God.
Well, I have had people say. People have said, "I'll come on a show with you, Rukshan, but not with Avi."
Well, you've got shows 3 days a week, don't you?
Yeah, people. I got people coming on as guests now. They'll come on with me, not with you.
Good. I don't want those pussy guests that you have.
You know who the best guest we had is? Sorry, I got on a tangent. But I reckon the best guest we ever had was Kamal.
But that was also in the studio. I think like having a guest in the studio is fun.
Yeah.
Because you can look in their eyes. Oh, but with Kamal, he was actually virtually anyway. So I don't know what I'm talking about.
Sam Newman was in the studio. That was me.
Baz Darkhorse says, "Thank God no one saw the game." That's mean, Baz. But thank you for the super chat. We appreciate that. Equity says, "Believe this got through. Can't believe this got. Welcome to country." Oh, I got what you. I see what you did there, Equity. You're talking about the filter not capturing it. You've tricked it. Good work. AD says, I think I changed the filter because everybody was complaining that their comments weren't coming through. Their super chats were getting stopped or something. And we were losing that money. And you know how that makes me go crazy. AD says, any income generated from Crown land in Melbourne will be claimed by the Indigenous industry. I suspect you might be right. What do you reckon?
Well, that's with the whole the Indigenous Parliament thing that they set up in Victoria. That is a part of the end goal is something akin to this. Yeah. It's going to happen at some point.
Thanks for the super chat, 80. What have we got? Sil says, "Hi, Avi Rukshan. Glad to finally be on your live stream. Question for Avi. Can I have a signed copy of your book if I donate over $200 as per your promo?" Absolutely. Send me a message and I can send you one out if you want to. I can't remember the promo, but yeah, we can certainly honour that. Send me a message, avi@rebelnews.com. I'm not very good at answering messages, but if it says you're going to give us $200, I guarantee you I'll answer that one.
If you want, I will sign a copy. Just do a super chat on my YouTube instead, and I'll send you a copy that Avi gave me, a signed copy, and I'll sign it as well. And you can just do a $100 super chat. I'll send that through to you guys.
He's giving you a 50% discount. I love it. My guy 710 says, "Thank you for the super chat. It's crazy how Charlie Kirk's death only happened 2 months ago, yet on internet time it feels more like 5 years. People don't really talk about it as much. In fact, the only people talking about it still, really, is Candace Owens. And I feel like she's made it dirty to talk about it on the right in the podcast, because you now, like, when you hear people talking about it, it feels like they're using it for personal gain."
Yeah, it's gotten to the level of conspiratorial to discuss in any fashion. I think there will be a lot more discussion around this when the trial happens, or depending on how that all goes down. But yeah, as of right now, a lot of people are trying to avoid the subject because it has become so tainted by the likes of Candace Owens. And she says she's doing it for virtuous reasons, and she's the only one that can solve all of this. Recently, she's gotten to the point of saying that she's the target of an assassination plot from the French president and the First Lady, involving the French Secret Service. And somehow all of this, she has also linked back to Charlie Kirk as well. So we are getting into extreme levels of conspiracy. I know there's a lot of Candace supporters that watch this show, but guys, think about what think about what you're listening to, and think about the results that she's been able to.
I just find it so funny.
Right.
Like the people that claim to be the biggest critical thinkers, who don't believe anything, are like believing the craziest shit from Candace Owens at the moment. Like that whole assassination plot. Like, you guys, wake up. Ask for actual proof. Stop getting little drips and drops. Get actual proof of it. Like, it's the most, if you actually step back and zoom out, you're falling for the biggest nonsense. You're falling for it. Like, you talk about the mainstream media lying to everybody and people just following like sheep. You have become the sheep. There's a couple of funny comments that I just saw people talking about in response.
I did call her the First Lady. I don't know. Maybe she was right about that. I don't know. Maybe it's not the First Lady. I don't know.
Who cares about that part of it? Who cares? The rest of it.
Yes.
Like, falling. I'm talking about the assassination part. Avi, give your business card, people are saying. Laugh out loud, go rookie. Somebody's like, haha, one trip to Israel and he already mastered business. These are just from the normal comments. Outdoing the Jew. This is great. These comments are fun. It's great. They're all scrolling on the side. That's how I see it, because it just scrolls on the side. I like that new feature. Is it big enough for people? Are people seeing it on the phones?
I think we could have it a little bit bigger, but it's okay. It's good.
I think you could see it. I've got a little phone here just so I could see it, and I can read it, and I'm half blind. Sunny First Fleet says, Australian crowd just took it on the chin. Pretty respect, much Avi, but apparently Australians are racist. What? Hold on. What are we saying?
Sunny's saying that the crowd that were watching the Welcome to Country lecture.
Oh, that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Were respectfully listening and just took it on the chin, but yet people call them racist.
Yeah. Peter Wilson, thank you for the super chat, says, Avi, do you think Australia or the USA has a better future when it comes to immigration and multiculturalism, regardless of who is president or minister? It's a good question. I think America is also, it depends where you're talking in America. They're very different. Like, states in America are like different countries. But overall, I think America has more of a chance. Just because they have a Bill of Rights, they have more freedoms, and people are willing to stand up there more than they are here. What do you reckon?
Even the lefties, there is a American identity that even the Democrats prescribe to. Like they all support or celebrate the 4th of July, for instance, as a national holiday. So there is a reverence there for the military from both sides. I know they have weird policies around it, perhaps on the left, but there is an understanding of what an American is to a greater extent than what we have in Australia. We have a lot of things still not settled when it comes to Indigenous question, for instance, and that plays into a lot of the disharmony that we have with immigration and people taking advantage of that. So I do see that America is somewhat more united than countries like Australia, with this historical respect that they have for their past presidents and their foundation and their independence and their Bill of Rights. Like they all talk about those things, but with different interpretations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. It's Leo says, I'm not sure where people are getting this idea that Charlie Kirk was somehow becoming anti-Israel. Just look at his college debates about Israel. It's just nonsense. People rewriting Charlie's entire history. Yeah, there's a few times that he was critical of Israeli policy. He was absolutely not becoming anti-Israel. And that's how you know somebody's not really his friend. If they're rewriting his entire legacy to suit that just happens to suit their redirection, their new direction, then they're probably not as close to it. Anyways, that's nothing Candace Owens says today you can believe. You just can't. You need proper evidence. What are your views? Paul Murray says, what are your views on Sam Harris? There's a lot of Sam Harris that I listen to Sam Harris. I think he's a smart guy. I think he gets some stuff wrong. I think he was certainly wrong about Elon Musk and Twitter and all that. But, you're not going to agree with anyone all the time, but I think he's probably worth listening to. I don't know, do you listen to Sam Harris ever?
Not recently, just like bits and pieces when people posted on X, and that was going back a few months, I think, during one of these debates that you mentioned. So not necessarily, but I see why he
was a bit annoying,
during that time. Yeah,
but
I haven't heard much from him in terms of being a voice in these kind of debates we've had recently.
Yeah,
a prominent voice.
I do listen. Look, Sam Harris is the kind of content that you consume if you want to listen to long form, more intellectual stuff. His guests are usually really good. It's not like I haven't seen many debates with him lately. Those are usually more interesting, but sometimes I just want to hear a perspective on a certain issue, especially when it comes to American policies, to give me a more rounded understanding. But I think he's valid. I think he's a decent voice. I just wouldn't take everything he says as gospel, for sure not. Like if COVID and his view on X and that is anything to go by, be critical, but be critical of everyone. Even if you're a Candace follower, be critical of it. Because I tell you now, if you start being critical of Candace, if you're her follower, oh boy, you're in for a surprise. Armored Viper? Is that Armored Viper? How was I reading that? I'm getting tired. Thank you for that generous super chat there. Says, hey guys, I'm up in Townsville. Do you think the adult crime, adult time laws in Queensland are actually working well enough for Victoria to model off it? I see stolen cars and burnt out wrecks everywhere up here. I personally don't think it is working. When it comes to adult crime, adult time, I think there's two parts to it. Firstly, we've got to look at the crime statistics after the fact. And you've got to probably give it at least a year or two to be able to see the effects of it, because these people need to be going into jail and then you need to see them off the streets for it to actually have an effect on the on the crime that you're seeing. But having said that, like on top of it, is it working? Well, if these kids are committing adult crimes and then they're off the street, to me, it's already working because they're just off the streets. So that guy is 100% less likely to re-offend in an adult crime when he's in jail because he just can't do it. So I think I strongly believe in that. For both parts, I think that it is a deterrent. I think if you look overseas, if you look at countries that are, in the Middle East, for example, that are very, very strict on any counter-terrorism laws, suddenly you don't see any terrorism. When they know they're going to potentially face the firing squad. Suddenly, and I'm not saying you should, but the point is, I'm not advocating for capital punishment, but I'm saying in countries where there is capital punishment for terrorism, suddenly there is very low terrorism. And that is because it works. When there is a proper deterrent, people don't do it. People don't commit those offences.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's mainly the time thing. There's a time lag, obviously. And of course, I agree with you somewhat without the capital punishment element. But you got to make an example of people so the word gets out. So I think, if you do end up having a lot of these kids being locked up, put away, doing adult time, word will spread for either whether it's the kids' families, the communities, or the kids through the kids themselves. That if we do get caught for these acts, we might be away for 2-3 years. So, it's going to take a bit of time for that to happen, but it's better than not doing anything. Yeah. So right now, the system we have in Victoria is do a crime, get out on bail if you're under 18, and that can happen 30, 40, 50 times, and nothing really changes.
Baz says that he's trying to send super chats and they are bound. They're blocking him. So Baz, just send me a screenshot, avi@rebelnews.com, just so I understand what's blocking. So when you try to do one, show me whatever happens so that I can see if it's still in my settings. I see somebody on X saying capital punishment is highly necessary for civilized society to remain moral, which is an interesting take because many on the other side will argue that that capital punishment in itself makes you an uncivilized society. However, I do believe that time and place, and I think in certain instances, like if somebody beyond reasonable doubt has been convicted of heinous child sex offences.
I'm not against it. I'm not against it.
But we don't have it, and you know what? Like, that's fine. As a society, we've progressed past it. The point I was making in saying that capital punishment works in the Middle East is that you suddenly don't then see. So it's just like an extreme example of capital adult crime, adult time. So when people know that they're going to face real consequences, and the ultimate consequence is capital punishment. So like I don't know. I wouldn't really want to bring capital punishment back to Australia. Like I for a few reasons, but I think it is a bit barbaric. But I can understand in certain places where they do want to bring it in because it plays as the ultimate deterrence. Like in a place where you have high levels of terrorism and you want to scare people out of doing it, people who have thought traditionally, well, I can try, worst case scenario, I get locked into jail, or like if I involve myself in it, I go to jail, and in jail it's quite cushy there compared to my life outside jail. Plus, my family's going to be taken care of by the terrorist organisation. Then, like, I can understand, like, the conversation around. I don't think in Australia we really have the necessity for it to even have that conversation. But I think any conversation shouldn't be out of bounds. But chemically castrating to those kind of offences to protect future children, I'm also not against that one. Anyways, we're getting quite radical. I think let's go on to the last. Is it the last one that I have? Oh no, there's two quick ones. All right, this one. This was beautiful. Making news earlier this week. Let me just.
Daniel Andrews is about my least favourite person in the world. I think Daniel Andrews not only ruined Victoria, he almost ruined my life. I rented a house in Palm Beach, and it actually happened to be a house that's owned by Donald and Eric Trump, and it shares a fence with Mar-a-Lago. The president was nice enough. You know, he knew that I'd rented the house, and he invited me for dinner. Prime Minister of Israel was a dear friend to me when I needed help, and I will never forget that.
I'm sure you saw it. What was your reaction when you saw that?
Yeah, look, I mean, there was other comments attributed to him from that interview as well. Was it the filthy?
Yeah.
He called him. I can't remember the exact term now, but I often wonder. You know, it's good hearing from these type of individuals about their views on someone like Daniel Andrews, because it shows you that he pissed off a lot of different types of people in society.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what he was going through, James Packer, during the time that we were dealing with Daniel
I think
Andrews.
this might be it. Hold on.
Yeah.
With Light and Easy, you can lose weight and enjoy.
Let me just wait till that ad goes by. Keep talking.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he made commentary around Daniel Andrews during those moments. So, because I've seen a lot of people after the fact, after Daniel Andrews is out of power.
I think in Packer's defence, that was when he was.
It's James
Yeah, here we go. This was it.
Packer, as we very rarely see him. The billionaire businessman giving one of his most revealing interviews in recent times, detailing his struggle with addiction and naming one of the world's most divisive leaders as the man who saved him.
Notoriously reclusive, James Packer on board his mega yacht off Fiji, opening up to journalist Joe Aston about his battle with the bottle.
The reality is I had substance abuse issues. I had a lot of debt. I had a lot of obligations. I was under a lot of pressure, and I was drinking way too much.
The man he credits pulling him back from the brink, Benjamin Netanyahu.
Prime Minister of Israel was a dear friend to me when I needed help.
The Israeli PM might be unpopular among many at home and abroad for the war on Gaza, but James Packer has a different take.
He's obviously an incredibly divisive figure at the moment. I think he's probably the most impressive man I've ever met.
He's also revealed another friend in high places.
I've met Donald a few times, and he's been nothing but nice to me. He liked my father.
He once rented a house in Palm Beach, Florida, next to Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago compound.
We had dinner and I sat next to him for a couple of hours, and he couldn't have been nicer.
James Packer turned his back on Australia years ago, but next month he returns to Sydney to spend Christmas with his mother, and he does so with a small sense of trepidation.
There's always the risk that I'm going to run into someone on the street that, I've fallen out with, but I'm looking forward to getting back to Sydney.
Mark Burrows.
They didn't even play the headline says, because in this
You can lose weight and enjoy more free time with delicious healthy meals.
The headline on it is Human Filth, James Packer unleashes on former Victorian Premier, but they didn't even play that one part. Look, when I saw it, I was thinking, this is like going to trigger all the right people on every level. Firstly, he's calling Daniel Andrews human filth, and how he, when you hear him, whatever you think of James Packer, he sounds genuine, and it's true, we don't get to hear we haven't heard from him in a very long time, very much. And then the Netanyahu part, that would just drive people up the wall, because that's the devil you're talking about. So you're calling our hero Dan human filth, and you're calling the devil nothing but good to me.
That saved him specifically. And of course he had dinner with Trump, so he's got the trifecta.
There we go. All right, last thing before we close up for tonight. We've got a couple of super chats. I'll quickly read those, and then we've got our last funny story for the night. Benji asks thoughts on Brandon Tatum. I like him.
Yeah, he's consistent.
That's right. The Book of Dark says, what do you think of euthanasia? Good question. You want to get me in trouble here. Look, there's a bit of confliction. I am somebody that believes in autonomy. People should have, like, I'm slightly libertarian when it comes to that, but I think it's also a dangerous space. My concern is you don't want to encourage people to kill themselves. It's the last thing you want to do. You want to, but on the other side of it, I understand when somebody is very unwell and suffering and it's terminal, and they don't want to prolong their own sickness. Like, how would I feel in that moment? So I think, again, this is a conversation that should be discussed. I don't know. What's your take on it?
Yeah. So again, I think that's the issue is the legalities and the laws around it and the regulations of such a thing, to the extent of what it means for, like what's happened with the whole hormone thing, Avi, where we have this people just taking these hormones now to change their gender, right? It
Yep.
becomes fashionable.
Yep.
I worry about things like this with
100%.
euthanasia.
100%.
And if you open it up without proper regulations and the strictest of conditions around something like that, you're just opening up a can of worms in our society, because there will definitely be individuals out there campaigning as activists, encouraging people to end their lives to change, to save the climate, for instance. Like, I see that being a possibility. It sounds crazy, but it's a possibility, right? So in that sense, I get those arguments against it. Religiously, I'm not someone who's like pro-abortion, for instance, and again, I wouldn't be pro-euthanasia. I think nature takes its course, but with the development of the world, I also understand that we are living in a time that certain things can potentially be done to make life comfortable for people at the end stages of maybe a horrific condition that they're going through. So it has to be balanced, whichever approach that's taken. Now, I think we've had that discussion in Australia, but we haven't really. It's not something that's come up recently, has it? I remember like a few years ago, it was a topic of debate. We don't really talk about it that much anymore in Australia.
It's usually, to be fair, I remember, if I remember correctly, it's usually the crackpots that are the ones fully campaigning for it. You need to find somebody rational to make the rational argument, and to ensure that it is. Look, the problem with all this stuff, then the counter argument always becomes the slippery slope. I know, the opening up to it would be, even if somebody's coming at it, like I would come at it with good intentions, going, okay, I'm talking about the person that's actually suffering at the end of life, that just goes, look, I don't want to live my next 3 months crapping into a nappy, having, my wife or my nurse have to change my nappy in pain. So for that person, I almost feel like it's more moral to put them out of their misery, right? But especially if they, like, only if they want, like if somebody prefers to be alive, of course. But the slippery slope of that being able to be abused. So what's more important in society? Is it to make people who don't want to suffer at the end have to suffer to protect people that could potentially abuse it, like abuse it also against mental, when people have a mentally ill sibling, child, parent, and they don't want to have to put up with them anymore, they convince them to legally euthanize. There are so many dangerous situations that would scare me, that it would have to be so controlled.
I've not really thought about this topic for a long time. But I am seeing in the comments that it is pretty much fully legal across Australia. It's called voluntary assisted dying, but there's a lot of strict conditions. Yeah, voluntary assisted dying is legal in all Australian states and the Australian Capital Territory.
I thought it was illegal. I thought people fly overseas to Europe, to Sweden.
That's what I mean. I've just not focused on it. I remember the debates, but I just it's not something we discuss in everyday life.
Susie says, I'm a support worker and there are plenty of people that wear nappies. It would wipe a lot of people out. I don't know if you're trying to be funny, but that just sounds horrible. Okay. I don't think you're trying to be funny, but I just read that comment, I'm like, what? Yes. All right, last video, last story. This one is, I think, one to lighten up the evening, especially after your euthanasia.
Welcome to the Schwab Academy. The mission of the Schwab Academy is to prepare people for the tremendous changes which will be caused by the transformation from the industrial to the intelligent age. The intelligent age is based on a combination of many life-changing technologies. Of course, artificial intelligence, but there is also quantum computing and many other technologies which will have a tremendous impact on how we live, how we communicate, and we have to prepare for those changes now. I started first with the book Thriving and Leading in the Intelligent Age to provide a kind of introduction, and now I'm looking at specific areas where I can help people to understand what's coming up and to prepare for it.
I am scared of his, this because he's out of the web. I think he's leaving the web. He's out of, this is his next
I feel bad.
gig.
I kind of feel bad for him because if you look at the quality of that video, I feel like it's his wife or he's got some grandkid or something to film it.
You can see the thingo light. What do they call those round lights that you buy off Amazon?
Yeah, and it's like this is the guy that was in charge of the world
and many other technologies.
So there's a light. You see
the guy, the guy that was. But the first shot is the best. The first shot, the cinematic Benji style cinematic shot, where someone's rushing up to the door, boom. But this is a guy that has fallen from grace, Avi, because the WEF did make him resign as director, and then they did open an investigation into him, and now he's been reduced to coming up with some new grift.
I reckon I am signing up to his academy, and I'm wearing a secret camera, a hidden camera. I've always wanted that interview with Klaus Schwab. There's no better way.
It's not AI, guys. It's not AI. In the comments, people are like it's AI. It's not AI. No, he posted this on his own profile on X. He is promoting this. It is not AI.
No, this is from his ex, and but he is AI, so who knows? It's knows?
Possible.
Guys, I've got to get to it. I've got to do it. He is my guy. Okay. And that is it. All right, let me just do the last super chat. And I think, we're running slightly late. We're doing all right, though. It's Leo Thompson says, also people think Israel killed Charlie Kirk because Netanyahu was quick to tweet about about Kirk's death. But that's stupid. He was just showing gratitude to Kirk for all the support and love for Israel. Totally. The funny thing is, most of the people that were saying that have hated Charlie Kirk his whole life. Have been spending months, if not the year and a half leading up to his death, condemning Charlie for his support of Israel. So these people are grifters and liars. Just ignore them. And God bless Charlie Kirk, and he was a good friend to Israel. And you can also, it's funny because people like Candace Owens take private messages and shows them on a little like vague messages that you can kind of dress up to be what you want, and totally ignore his actual public statements to the camera about his Henry says, do you think the right will ever be united again, or has the woke right prevented that from ever happening again?
I think the right united very well against the woke left.
Yep.
If you think about the last couple of years, the right came together when they had a singular, enemy, let's say. That's when the right does really well. When they're in power or when they have the upper hand, you do see these fractures. This has been the case throughout history, and it's the case right now. But when there's a unified, they become unified when there's singular cause that they can unify around, and that has been for a long time defeating the woke left, all these kind of crazy progressive ideas, especially when it comes to America. That's why the whole MAGA movement, getting behind Donald Trump, obviously the targeting of Donald Trump by the Democrats via criminal cases and all that kind of unified everyone on his side. But since that time, even people that like Marjorie Taylor Greene, or as Trump calls him, Marjorie Traitor Greene, Even people that were you would think are diehard MAGA Trump people have turned on him. So these things do happen. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think it's kind of healthy for there to be a mix of different views on the right. I think the unhealthy part is that there's people on the right who are not challenging particular views and letting these the woke right dominate in some aspects because they have the cultural clout through what we found out recently is engagement farming online with groper bots from Bangladesh. So there's a lot going on there.
Yep. Oh no, that was that one. Thanks again for the super chat. Look, let's hope they do unite. I hope we don't have to wait for a common enemy to unite based on what Rukshan is saying there. Peter Wilson says, do you think China would attempt to militarily invade Australia or bomb part of Australia? Like, not in the near future, but in 30, 50, who knows? Like, once they go for Taiwan, they're expansionists. Like, they will eventually. There could be conflict with it, but it's not in the near future. No, I don't think so.
If an all-out war broke out involving China and Australia on the side of some allied force with the Americans, yes, there's every potential that China would bomb ports and stuff in Australia for sure. As it is right now, China's already doing a takeover of Australia without needing any kind of military.
They don't need to. Why will they? Yeah.
They don't need to. They don't need to do that. They control a lot of the institutions. They control a lot of the politicians. And, we're basically in a abusive relationship with them where they are calling all the shots.
Benji says, in Japan, death penalty still exists, yet it's still, one of the most safest country in the world. I didn't know that. I didn't know they still have death penalty for what. But yeah, Japan is one of the safest countries in the world. I did see, however, they were starting to have migrant problems, which they're trying to get on top of. But I guess if that is true, that just proves more what I'm saying. Which were examples that I was giving. I know in the Middle East they have them in certain countries, and those countries tend to have very low terrorists. Paul Murray says, you need to get it. Pauline Hanson's Please Explain movie banned at Parliament House. I saw that. They just banned it.
Yeah, well, I actually had a opportunity to go tonight and watch it. But I decided to come here with you guys and do the podcast because there was an event meant to be held at Parliament House. So it's a screening of their feature-length film that's coming out. The cartoon series that she's made. There's the Please Explain cartoon series.
Oh, they got a movie.
Coming out around Christmas time, and today was like a launch night type thing that was meant to be played.
Those guys are so good.
They're so good, and it was meant to be played in Parliament House in one of the theaters, but last minute the parliamentary whatever people decided actually because it could be divisive, the content of the film, you can't play it here and hold your event here, so they found somewhere else to do it, I believe. So that's what that was about.
I bet you
Crazy.
if the Greens had one, just like every other double standard we see there when it comes to Pauline Hanson,
there would be no issue. There'd be no issue.
Wild. Anyways, we'll have to check that out. Those guys do a great. Those segments are so good. So I'm sure this feature film will be amazing. I've met him. I can't remember where we met him.
You're getting rid of that whole comment, are you?
Yeah, I was just trying to read the nappy one, but I lost it. It's moved up. I don't want to get sidetracked by nappies. It just seems like such a bizarre place to go. Benji says, plus Japan jurors can act as judges and don't need a unanimous vote, but a majority vote to sentence somebody. Right? So how do you know so much about the Japanese judicial system? Listen, they're doing something right in Japan because they do have low crime, but I think immigration also plays a big role in Japan. The Book of Dark, the biggest problem with capital punishment is an innocent person being put to unalived, and that is true. Like, if somebody's wrongly imprisoned, they can always or usually get compensation for it when you kill somebody. But that's why, like, if you're gonna do it, it would, I would only think it could be in a situation where there is zero chance, like it has to be
Zero doubt.
The crime has to be that egregious and zero doubt to it.
Yeah.
But anyways, not a conversation that Australia's really got to worry about. Guys, on that note, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, before you go, hit that like button, help the algorithms. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to whatever channel you're watching this on now. I hope you like the new layout. Let us know. But otherwise, good night, and we'll see you on Thursday night.